And welcome everyone. It is John the Net Guy. I am joined by a special guest today, Danny from PC Tech Hustle. Danny, you want to tell everybody about you and your channel?
How's it going, guys? Dan from PC Tech Hustle. I got a YouTube channel about around the size of John's from the Net Guy. Focused on budget PC building, budget PC tech, budget tech. Trying to appeal to the masses. So feel free to check me out. I think we got some links to my channel here somewhere. Yeah, I'm here to help John embark on a PC flip and undertake some budget PC content here.
Yeah, now you got to tell me about, well, you got two computers in your background that are both very interesting to me. So do you want to start at the one with all of the fans? I think we miscounted earlier, right?
Yeah, it's a little. Let's see if I can capture a little more on screen here a bit, but that's the main editing rig. I got
Woo!
kids in the background. Sorry about that. They're just getting out of baths. Thank God they're wearing gloves. And yeah, hey, get. Well, this will make this fun. Yeah, so that's the main editing rig that runs the show. So yeah, it's a bit flashy and crazy, but it's got a lot of oomph and horsepower just to be able to run the show and do my video editing and all that stuff. So the one though closer to me, this is a Dell Optiplex that recently built in. Well, I didn't really build it. I just threw a GPU into it. A few videos back on my channel if you guys want to check it out. But it's a pretty common, I'd say, PC platform to jump into budget PC tech if you're just want to spend like a couple $100 and just get gaming and you're not real concerned with having the latest and greatest performance, and it's definitely a good option. So something I've recommended a lot on my channel, and I did a recent video of this one in particular that's behind me. Haven't really embarked on selling it, but all we really did was throw a GTX 1050 into it and went and played some games. And I was pretty impressed, even with old DDR3 memory. So good
Oh, you
stuff.
bet. So that's the Dell 9020, right?
Yep, 9020. Now it does have a that is what I think is the saving grace on that is because it's got a 4790 or 4770 i7. So there, that fourth gen i7, fourth gen platform is still pretty solid, I would say, for budget content stuff like this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you said budget like 12 times now, and that is the name of the show, is we're going to be doing budget PC builds and flips. So today I've got a pretty cool, I think it's a hidden budget PC. If you go to try to get the Dell 9020s, even now they're still a little bit elevated. I think you said you spent over $100 on that one. I found a machine that is completely underrated. Like nobody knows about it. I think it's the sleeper gamer, I'm going to call it.
Heck
And
yeah.
that machine I paid $60 for. So I've got a machine here. We're going to do the upgrade on it. I've got some routes that we can get to, like the show thumbnail said, under $300, you can have a pretty decent gaming machine for, your eSports titles. We're not going to be playing like Warzone 100 FPS with this thing. But again, this includes a new GPU for this price. So this is pretty amazing when you have GPU and a budget build machine. And that's what you can do with flips, right? When you try to buy a motherboard, fan, memory, case, this, that, the other thing, your flip cost goes outrageous. So
Oh yeah,
got a
definitely.
couple things housekeeping to do real quick. So just I'll get a setup here for that. One second. Got to figure out how to use this stuff again. See, I switched us, and then I got to learn how to switch us back.
Yeah,
One
been
second.
through that before myself, sir.
Learning to use the switcher. That's the start of it.
I need to get me one for sure.
There we go.
Uh,
There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up real quick. I got a couple things that I have to show. First of all, how do you find all of the deals that we're talking about here? Well, obviously, down in this lower corner here, hopefully it will come up when I hit the show button. We've got my Amazon shop. We're live on Amazon, Twitter, YouTube, and a bunch of other different places. So if you are on any of those other services, definitely take a look at my Amazon shop. That's the real thing that's going to help me out. And I've got some exciting stuff to share at the end of the show that I'm going to be able to help you guys out. I've got an amazing show coming up. Amazing. Like biggest show I think I've ever done. And a vendor has sent some really, really cool products. So I'm very excited about that. I'll tell you more about that towards the end of the show, but it's all coming down to followers. So if you're a follower of the show, if you're a big fan, show that by checking me out on Amazon. And if you want to figure out what we're showing today, I'm going to bring up the Amazon page here. And this is my Amazon shop. So if you come down there and visit it, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see us live. So it's kind of like Hall of Mirrors effect. But you're going to see these things called idea lists. So if you hit idea lists there, it's going to show you every single show I've done. This is number 32 of the year. It's going to show you every single show that I've done and all of the products within that show. Now, maybe this might be a little hint as to what's coming up next week, but and what the giveaway might be. But other shows are listed here. I can't hide them. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the idea list. And this one right here actually has a couple products I got to talk about first before we get into the cool budget build. First product I want to tell you about is from 220. Now, this is kind of funny. I showed you guys this on my last show. This is a smart bracelet. So you're going, what is a smart bracelet and why do I need one? Well, this is for your love interest in your life. My wife was even going, this would be kind of cool. I'm going to go traveling on business here in a bit. And she goes, if you had these, then she could hit her bracelet and it sends a predefined message on the other side. And it also blinks your bracelet. So it's kind of a cool thing. I've actually got my daughter, this light that you see in the background. I told her she's allowed to do this today and today only. She can change the color of the light during the show if she wants. So we'll see if she does that. But this is also from 220. This is that thing I showed you last week, which is a friendship lamp. It's the coolest idea I think I've ever seen. I don't know, Ben. You ever seen a friendship lamp before?
That's actually the first time I've seen those little like the bracelet stuff like you talk about like on TikTok videos and hey, they tap the button and it shows hey, I'm thinking about you. But the friendship light thing, that's kind of neat. I'm
going to test it out.
My daughter would get a kick out of that.
I'm going to change it. So, again, if you got kids and you're out of town or you got a loved one and you just want them to know that you're there. So I'll turn it there. It's like a pink color in here. But she'll be able to do that on her side and it changes her side as well. They're linked together, which is really slick. And she's about 20 miles away. So pretty slick. The 220 company also makes this band, which is kind of cool. And that's, again, I showed it on my last show, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But you have two different styles there that come with this kit. And the one thing that they told me is they said that they're 36% off right now. They said, can you just mention this really incredible sale? Because we didn't have the sale programmed in when I showed them last week. Last week, there were much more than this. So this week, I have them in the carousel. Oh, that was a reminder. Hey, I got to pull up the carousel to do this. Okay, here we go. I'm telling you, this is like 30-second show and I'm learning every time, man.
That's all right.
So these are
got to look human.
Exactly. So this is the touch bracelet, 36% off. And if you're joining us on Amazon, you're actually going to see this. Now, I'm going to be sending this with a daughter of mine to her friend so that she can actually communicate with that person. And then we're going to do a follow-up video on it. So that's the first product I just wanted to show real quick, was from the 220 company. And, one of the big key parts of PC flipping, Dan, and you know all about this, is shipping PCs, getting the PC safely to your customer if you're selling on Java or one of these other websites, right? And a couple people have made videos about this. There's, G-Tech has a video on it. I think Jay's 2 Cents has a video on it. I'm going to try this out for the very first time, and that's the Instapack packing. So we're going to hop into that here in just a sec. And then we're going to get on to the builds and, all the cool stuff about that. I've got some benchmarks to show, but I do want to check the chats out real quick and see who's saying hi. I got to give a shout out to Vicky with an I in the Amazon chat. She says, hey, that's awesome. And again, if you hit follow on the Amazon, write anything that's not going to get me kicked off of any of the platforms and I'll give you a shout out. Could be your favorite football team. Are you watching football now, the preseason, Danny?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm not paying super close attention to it yet. Usually I kind of take it with a grain of salt, at least within the first few weeks. And then last week or two, start getting the fantasy teams all set up. And obviously I'm a big college football fan. So Ohio State's my love of college football. So I'm sure it's been, I place a little Easter egg in a lot of my videos. Some I've had some people that are Ohio State fans that be like, oh, I gotta love the mug or this or that. So I just kind of do that for fun.
Absolutely. I got to turn that AC down. I think I'm starting to get shivering. I got to start moving. Oh, very cool.
Start building.
Yeah, I'm a Seattleite, so I have to be for the Seahawks, but we lost Russell Wilson. So now it's like, oh, I can't watch. We'll see. We'll see when it's get there. Oh, hey. Uh-oh. we got a friend of the show that just showed up here. Zach, he's in. He says, sorry I'm late. The commute is killing me. I know you just bought a house, man, and that commute would kill me too. So I just want to say
I hear you on
welcome
that.
back. I got a couple other people in here we got to say hi to real quick as we start up here. Why am I still sharing the Instapack? We should be full screen here and talk to these guys. Jonathan Talks Hardware. He is actually another budget builder and PC flipper that's in here. He's just saying, hey, I posted on Twitter and tagged you in it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. I appreciate that. Anything to get the word out. We're doing PC flipping live, which, you know, Zach, he's like the OG flipper, right? he did this years ago, and I actually found a video from Zach flipping the exact PC that we're going to do here in a bit. So it's going to be kind of funny.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, he did it in the same case. It was kind of cool. So,
okay.
Got another just a hi from Rare Apple. Funny story about Rare Apple. I've been putting out massive amounts of videos, and he says text on Tuesday. Yeah, we're plural this week. But Rare Apple, he's actually been editing a lot of my videos. So I think all the Scepter ones I've got a bunch of Scepter ones queued up. He's done a lot of editing. So my editor's in here having fun. But again, awesome. You can just let us know if you're in the chat, and we'll give you a shout out here. I'm going to get started, and we'll talk about this Instapack that we had up here. It's 1156. And as a flipper, like the one call you don't want to get is, yeah, I got the machine and it doesn't turn on, right? I got the machine, it's making noises, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm moving the box and it's clanking around, right? That would be the other massive one.
Oh, yeah.
I actually did have a customer one time that actually did that. And I said, make sure to put the cable into the video card and not the top. They were putting in the top, obviously. So, like, yeah, once you have a GPU in there. So I'm actually going to show you a PC that has been built on this. This is for my stepson. And this, when we talk about like theme builds and stuff, this is one of my favorites. So if you guys know much about the Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, he actually was in boot camp, just came back from boot camp when I built this PC. And he did his first tour. Now, funny story, 46-foot boat, I think, is what they were in, and like 20-foot waves. And so when you think 46 is a big boat, and then you're like, oh, there's 15 to 20-foot swells out there. That's like half the boat in the water, half out. I'm like, okay. And he found out he gets seasick. I don't know. That's probably something I would have checked on before joining the Coast Guard. But no, he's getting over it. But he actually went to their trade school. And when he did that, it was like super intensive for 6 months. That's how long it's been. Oh, my gosh. And so he had to leave his PC with us. And he's been asking us every single day. He's like, have you shipped my PC off? I'm at my duty station. Have you shipped it off? And this thing has to go all the way to the East Coast. So as you guys seen, I'm going to pull it up on the top down camera here in just 1 second. This machine's pretty cool. It's got decals and vinyl and a paint job. This is like I call it my Orange County chopper build. I would love to make more of these kind of theme builds, but shipping these things can be really tough. Now this one had see if I can pull it up on the top down rig or the side rig. Let me pull this one up. This has a 6600 XT in it. So a pretty decent video card for like, you know, budget end video cards. But it doesn't have like triple slot, you know, full length GPU weight, but it definitely weighs enough that you're not going to want this thing to come flopping out, right? The rest of it's pretty good cable management wise. You know, you could zip tie a couple things down, but I think what I'm going to do is try out this new product that we've been talking about. So this is the Instapack right here. So they're calling it sealed air. Hopefully you guys can see that right there. So sealed air. Now it's a 2-part foam pre-mixed inside here. So what's going to happen is we're going to squish it out, and then we're going to quickly put it in here. I'm going to put the cover back on, and it's supposed to expand to fill the voids. And what that's going to do is keep the stress off of this GPU wanting to fly out of here. So looking forward to that. Oh my goodness. We got people coming out of the woodwork, Dan. Look at that.
Look at that, man.
I got a super chat already.
Heck yeah. 2 of them.
That is from DVZN. Dookie, he's called. He had a PC. He sent it to someone for their kid's Christmas gift, and it showed up in pieces. Oh my gosh, you need this, man. You know what? I'm going to DM me your address. You got your info. I'm going to send you a couple of these. They are about $11 a piece, but I bought them in bulk. If you buy in bulk, there's some different packaging options that is pretty cool. And hey, Jonathan's back there with a super chat, posted a couple PCs on Twitter and tagged you. So he's got a couple builds. DM me, John. We might be able to get you in on the end of the show here to rate our build and see what you think of it. But that'd be pretty cool. We'll do that towards the end of the show. And another friend of the show, Randy, has shown up. So this is my first time using this. I'm not going to tell you I've used a bunch of these. They're $11 a piece, so I didn't want to waste like 10 of them practicing. So we're going to try it out together. I'm going to slide this thing off to the side.
Fail or pass live. Now I heard you got to keep that on hand though, and close with the tempered glass side panel. So you got to be able to put it down quick, otherwise it'll expand straight out of the chassis. So
is it? Does it really do that?
So
because you want this to expand outward, right? You don't want it to expand up. So there's the stuff. Now it says read the material safety data sheet. There's this side down, so kind of like microwave popcorn. And this is the 18 by 18. So I wanted to get something that would really fill the void. You can see it's almost like the whole void of the PC up here. So just about the whole thing, I could wrap it in there, but I don't want it to be like 24 by 24 or whatever, so that it's so big that it like blows the fans out, comes out the front and sides. So here we go. We're going to take the foam instructions here. Conforms to all this. Before using this, watch this guide. Always press the A symbol first to start the bag. Once the bag starts to expand, it will become very warm and release steam. Okay, here we go. The words hot and steam at the top are the venting of the indicator. Oh, okay. Unfold surface. Oh, steam. So there we go. You guys hopefully can see that. There's a little tiny steam indicator there. Never shake the bag. It may cause foam to exit the vent holes. Okay, this was a lot more detailed.
I'm scared, man.
It says press from A. Okay, watch video, unfold completely, press A firmly until the palm pops, until it pops. Pat 10 to 20 times back and forth from A to B. Okay, you guys will be doing this. You will hear another pop. Never squeeze the bag and then pack immediately. Okay. I don't know, man.
I'm trying to remember all that. And keep that side panel handy. Remember, it expands quickly.
Okay, now I got to go camera 3. We're going to do this top down.
All right.
Okay. I got to make it good for a video later. Hey, this is John, the Net Guy. We're taking a look at sealed air. This is the Instapack system. And we're going to be sending off this PC today to the East Coast, and we're going to try it out. So we're going to follow the instructions. I'm pressing A firmly. Oh, that popped. Now, back and forth. It didn't say to pop B. It said you'll hear...
Trying to read it as you're doing
another pop. Oh, I know what's happening. I can feel it getting warm already.
Mixing up the chemicals.
It's actually going to pop this thing. Oh, it's about to go. Oh, it did. It's like immediately place. Okay, here we go. So I'm taking the power cable off this GPU. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Immediately place. Oh my gosh, this thing is fast. It is not kidding, dude. You are right. Okay.
That looked pretty good, man.
Hopefully you guys caught that. Check that out. Now, it's almost completely full. It was definitely warm. Wow.
That went quick.
That was a lot faster than I expected. So for $11, just be really ready.
Yeah.
To do that. So now the GPU is protected. Pretty much all the components in this thing, because it's expanded as much, are protected and they're not going to flop around. I'm looking through the back here. And actually, I think I might be able to show you on the side camera.
Yeah, peek to the side. Then, yeah, there you go.
Look at that. You can actually see the power supply. You can see how much this has come down.
Oh, wow.
So it's already coming down through the power supply. It's actually, I don't know if it's all the way down there or I put a white fan in this thing. It looks like it covered the entire power supply shroud area.
I think you got a good pack.
Yeah. So as long as the side doesn't blow off, everything went well.
Yeah.
If the side blows off, that's going to be bad. Divergent said, DVZN said, I have a few packs of that, but I haven't shipped PC since that disaster. I got PTSD. Well, that could happen. Yeah, and I'm feeling warm come out of the top vent, and the PC hasn't been on in months. So that's how crazy it is. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to experience that with me. That's pretty slick. I used regular packing material, and I need those so I don't waste the material, Jonathan's saying. Yeah, we have when actually... Another YouTuber on here, Pinky Tech. And when Joe and I built a machine live, we actually shipped it from his place, and luckily it only went like 2 states away. And we actually used, we took the GPU out, we used packing material and zip tied the GPU to the front. So that was the radiator inside. So the customer put the GPU in as the final stage, but that worked out pretty cool. So I got another one here, not to cause any trouble, just in case it failed. I had an extra, but this is, again, that's the Instapack right here, sealed air, and that worked pretty well. I will give you guys a follow-up. I told him I would get this thing out tomorrow, on its way to the East Coast, and we'll see as it arrives, and see how everything goes. And hopefully it'll work well. On the outside, obviously, we're going to still have to pack. And the one thing I recommend constantly is keep the case box. Don't get rid of your case boxes. Oh my gosh. Like, people constantly do that. They rip the foam when they're getting their case apart. And I'm like, no, because you never know when you're going to move. Go to a friend's house even. I put them in, like, when I go into a car, I like put them in the case box, and then I take them if I'm going somewhere. So that's how bad it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's good for even if you're doing something like locally, I usually keep my case boxes too, because also it gives that, professional look, but as well as it just protects it just within, locally packing it into your car, and then you giving your customer a whole assembly. Here's the box and everything. So, and then, obviously tell them don't tear it up as you get it back, because for the same exact reasons. So,
well, and if you're charging like a couple, I know some local builders, and if they're charging $2,000 and $3,000, $10 for some safety packing to make sure it arrives. Think of what the shipping back is going to be when you have to, fix that motherboard or whatever. Absolutely. And they won't replace the motherboard, by the way. So if you have it, damaged in shipping, and they see that it's been abused and your GPU slots cracked in half because that, 3-pound GPU was banging around in there. DVZN says that was fast. Now, the order of these comments, I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be, but Pinky Tech, I'm just going to leave that one alone. I did build, I'm going to put this off to the side and we can start building our flip here. But I did build a machine the other day that I want to tell you about. And this is kind of funny. So this was the graphic that you see here. This was an awesome machine. It turned out really cool, but you know what? I was not able to put all of the fans that I wanted on there, right? It had a ton of fans. I finished it. And this is what it turned out to be.
Yes.
So it is gorgeous. Again, we had the fans. We had to go back and forth of how we wanted the push-pull configuration during the build. But this thing was just awesome from Vetru. A lot of the fans are all Vetru on here. And this is the K1 Pangolin case that we built in. So that was just awesome. But you know what? Now that I look at that, I'm thinking I need to just flip all the fans to be blown out, because the side doesn't, it's got like a 2-inch gap all the way around. There's no airflow in this thing, right? Just make it all come in from the side and then go out the fans. I figure that's going to be it. But imagine trying to ship that thing, right? That was the case with all the boxes. And, this is easily a $2,500 build. But if I got to get that thing with that 3-pound GPU, I'd almost be better putting the GPU back in the box. But you could also use the Instapack here. I could see doing a couple of these, throw them in there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially with the AIO too and the tubes. And yeah, I would definitely use 2 on that one for sure. I'd be afraid to ship that one in all regards. I'm not going to
lie. Double tempered glass sides. And then all of those fins, when it arrived to me from the factory, the top thing was broke. I had to re-rivet it. So, it is what it is. So
imagine adding TC weight.
I am going to pull up the flip. Now, you're not going to see this part on Amazon. And the reason is that this is actually our flip PC. So this is the one that I got, and I got a deal on it, $60 for this machine. And you're going to be able to find these at various, I can't tell you where to go. I'm not allowed to direct away, but you can find these at auction sites. You can find these at, local thrift sales. Company, just like closeouts are, awesome. You work in IT, right, Dan?
I do.
Yep.
Got some work to do after the stream, actually.
There you go. And that happens all the time, is you get an IT department that switches off of one. Like, I'll tell you one thing, this is not going to do Windows 11. It'll do it right now. I've installed it a ton of times, but, depending on who you read about, whatever, they say it won't do Windows 11. So this is the HP 800 G2. I realized I didn't actually put that on there. I need to put HP 800 G2 budget flip king.
There you go.
There we go.
A new king.
There it is. New king in town. Did that do it? I said lower third. Show. There it goes.
There you go.
There, took a second. So this is the HP 800 G2. You want the 2 because the G1 is closer to the 9020, which is a great flip, right? That Dan was telling us about. The G2 gives you 6th gen processors. So you're up to the 6000 series. You're getting the 65, 6600, i7 6700 is where to go. Because like you were saying, you've got the i7 in that 9020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you know what? The one I bought was not, it was the 6600. I'll show you where I got that for the build. I actually do have a 6700 sitting back here. And I'm like, maybe as we're swapping, I'll just throw a CPU in there. We'll get another 8 cores. But this one, the specs on it are amazing. I'm going to go top down rig so you guys can see it. And I'll talk about a little bit of what we got going on here. And actually, look at that. Got an upgrade on the top down rig so we can zoom in finally. So a couple things about it. It's going to have this big CPU shroud, right? It has a standard CPU cooler. And one of the problems with the small form factor cases like this is usually you can't upgrade them in the case. And the Dell 9020 small form factor, people are always messaging me. They're like, oh, what can I do with this? I'm like, doorstop.
Not a whole lot. Yeah.
Not a whole lot. They're really hard to work in. Part of it is because, again, they're actually a little bit smaller. They have their PCI Express right up against the power supply. They've got 2 of them, but they're so close that by the time you actually get a GPU of any real length, it hits up against the power supply and Bob's your uncle, you're done. You can't get any cooling for it. Now, what's interesting about this one specifically, it's going to have 4 RAM slots. So if you're looking at like budget motherboards, a lot of times you don't have 4 RAM slots, right? You're going to get 2 RAM slots. Other things that are interesting about this, the workability. Now, I don't have the SSD tied down, but it has a slot in the bottom for 2.5-inch SSDs with a quick remove right there. It's got another drive case over here for a 3.5 and another one up here, and it's got a DVD drive. So if you're thinking of like backing up your Plex collection, DVDs to Plex, this thing will do it. And because it's got the Intel Quick Sync, the thing will transcode like nobody's business, which is awesome. So you're going to be able to do that. So flipping, this is one of my favorite candidates that I wanted to do. This is HP 800 G2. Now I'm going to show you guys how hard this thing actually is to flip. And then we'll boot it up here. So you want to make this a gaming computer. I'll get the parts out here. Now GPUs, it's been hard. It's been really hard on all of us, especially PC flippers. Like there was 2 kinds of PC flippers. The ones that had a bunch of GPUs when this whole lockdown started, and the ones that didn't and were like trying to find GPUs because that was the only way you could flip machines, right? I bought this thing and it was less than what it's listing for now. So this is a GTX. Let me pull it up on Amazon real quick. This is a GTX 1650, which is actually not a bad card. It's only 4 gigs. But the beauty of this one specifically, and I'm just trying to pull it up here, and I've got a bunch of GPUs in there just to look at. The beauty of this one specifically is the size. That is a dual fan, dual slot powered card. Yeah, it's just killer because it's like the perfect, and of course it's trying to focus on my face. So let's do that. So yeah, so perfect size. Now I'm gonna show you the extent of how to flip this machine. So you pull this cover off. You pull out these 2 slot covers, and then you slide the front of this card in. Of course, I'll be the one guy that can't get a GPU in on camera, right? You push that down. You get it lined up the way you want. You close that. Ta-da. Okay, now you've got a gaming machine.
Yes.
That is literally the flip. I'm telling you what, low profile GeForce here. This is one option, the 1650, and that's going to be your better option. Problem is this one is $269 right now. I promised you an under $300 gaming machine, right? So let's go back here. I want to show you a couple of things. Proof is in the pudding here. This is where I bought it from, one of these unnamed websites, and that's the listing right at the very top. A 800 G2 small form factor. It was 6600 CPU, 16 gigs of DDR4 memory. Just the memory alone, I've paid that, I hate to say, for some high-speed memory.
Yeah, that's honestly impressive for that much memory and an i7. Like that's a killer deal.
Well, technically this one is the i5, but I know what you mean. Yeah, this one is a
upgradable
4-core, 4-thread. The i7 is the 8-core. And I love that. 6700 is one of my favorite chips right now. So just to prove that, again, I've upgraded this machine that fast, we're going to turn it on, and I'm just going to bring up some games because, again, that was the easy way to flip a machine. I'm like waiting to go in the chat and see how badly I've been flamed because when we talk about PC flipping, this pretty low effort right there. I'm going to start this thing up.
Absolutely. I mean, someone who's just looking to get into gaming, not looking to spend a lot of money. Sure, you're commanding a little bit of a higher premium when you go with those low profile cards, but as you just saw, you don't have to do anything other than install a GPU, which I think anybody can do.
Yep, exactly. That's one of the core things. You should be able to install a GPU by now. And just follow the instructions in the thing. But again, I've got my computer booted up here. I'm actually going to click on, if I can get to it. I got to get myself out of the way. That's the funny thing. I put myself in that corner so we could see you. And I'm going to open up. There it is. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Hopefully it fires up here. I had all this tested and set up and working before the show, but you know how that goes. Oh gosh, now I got to log in. Okay. Oh, now I'm going to take myself off camera for a sec.
Do you remember your password?
Yeah, I don't want you to remember my password, everybody else watching the stream here. Okay, so we're going to launch Shadow of the Tomb Raider here. Again, if you're just joining us, this is John the Net Guy. I'm joined with Dan from PC Tech Hustle. We're doing techs on Tuesday. Let me know if you like this format. I love talking to you guys, but it's also nice to have a friend that likes doing PC flips as well on here.
Absolutely.
And so we're going, there's the top down. I wanted that view here. So again, this is the card we just dropped into it. And this is what I got on the Amazon carousel. This is the GTX 1650 low profile. It's hard to find. It's an expensive card, and it's going to give you pretty decent performance. There is another card option. It's going to be in the carousel. We'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to go back here and see if our game loaded up because I had to do that for Steam, and then I'm going to have to open it up. See, this is I need like a second or third monitor that I can go to, but it's loading it up right now. And we're going to tell it to play. So what kind of games can you play with a machine like this? Well, I'm thinking Shadow of the Tomb Raider is obviously one of them, and you'll see what the benchmark comes out of here. A lot of eSports titles, you're going to get to play your Fortnite. That's going to be pretty standard on something like this. One of the other ones that I like playing with my daughter a bunch, Rocket League, right? So again, I just literally took this, tiny machine that was, a reject from the corporate world, and we're going to run benchmarks on it. We're going to go 1080p high settings. And then you can see all the other stuff. And I'm not using the Fidelity CAS right there. I'm not turning on some of these things. You can also do some other cool stuff where you can do the super resolutions or whatever. You can actually get a little bit more out of it, but we're just going to do a standard benchmark. And I want you guys to see this. Might take a few seconds to load up. But what I actually have in this right now is a 250 gig SSD. So I'm going to pull that up on the carousel real quick. And this is the Kingston. This is the 240 gigabyte A400. So I really like this one. I'm going to pull that actually up on the top down here. So this is a really good just boot up SSD if you don't want to get something super expensive. And one of the really cool things about this one specifically, I've got it up in the carousel right now. I'm going to see if I can actually pull it up on the Amazon while we're waiting here and get it up here for you. Here we go. I'm going to put us both to the side, Danny. So we're back on, the website for Amazon. We're going to go here. Take a look at that rating. 5 stars, 159,000 sold, and it's $21.99 right now. And I literally bought this thing this morning. I bought an extra one. So
those things have come down a lot. Like those used to be, even that model specifically, the 240 gig used to be my go-to boot drive, and then pair it with like a 512 gig spinning drive for extra storage for a flip machine. But those used to be like $30-$35. They've come down quite a bit, and I can definitely vouch for them. I've used a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I'm going to come back because I forgot, and I think I turned off. There it goes. Okay, we're already into the other forest scene of Endor here. So we're doing the benchmarking here. Now that's playable, right? 50 plus FPS.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is, again, we have to remember, this is a $60 computer with 4 cores. It's a 6th gen CPU on here. And I put in the GTX 1650 4 gig, which is a great full HD card. I wouldn't be doing 1440 or 4K or anything like that. But this is high settings. You could even drop it down to medium settings, probably get a really good experience. I think this would be awesome for a kid too. You've got kids. Have you built the kids PC yet?
Oh yeah, man. Actually, my daughter's needs a. I mean, this thing actually kind of blows away what my daughter has. Hopefully, she's not listening.
Don't
But
tell her about it.
she's got a APU system. I think the first gen AMD Ryzen APU, the 2200G. So could stand to get a little bit of a bump in performance. But yeah, I mean, something like this is going to just destroy something that's like an APU, even the hardware being as old as it is. So there's something to think about too.
Yeah, exactly. And APUs were I think a crutch, right? The APUs got us through some of the
Right. Yeah.
but I think people now are like, okay, what kind of cards can I get? So we're testing it on the GTX 1650. Before I forget, I do want to pull up one other part that you could potentially use, and that is we're talking about an in-place flip here, right? And I did like nothing. We're going to do a real full-size flip here in a second, but if you look at this card, I'm really interested. I have not used the 6400 yet. I have one of these on order already. Hasn't shown up yet, but it is $149. It's a low profile or full size. So you get the two adapters there, the two back plates, and it's a single slot. So you almost never see single slot cards anymore, especially ones that can perform. It's not going to do the same as the GTX, but it's going to perform enough, hopefully, to get you through. So that's the card that I spec'd out for this. It's $149. So with that, with a $60 PC, $22 SSD, you're good to go. So you've got something you can game with, and you're not playing on an APU. So it's going to give you better than APU performance.
Oh yeah.
Not dramatically better, but better than APU performance for sure. So here we go. And this is what I kind of expected and what I saw earlier. So you're getting mid 50s. So mid 50s, high settings, full HD, right? So pretty decent. There a couple other things. It is a little bit GPU bound and CPU bound. So here it was 76% GPU bound. Now I think I've got this thing doing updates or something, because earlier today it was actually 85% GPU bound when I was doing the same benchmarks. So that's just telling us, how much time is it waiting on the video card versus the PC. Now that's if you get the 6600 model. If you can get the i7, it's going to be almost 100% of GPU bound, because that chip is so much faster with the 8 cores. It's almost double. So that's the stats here. Let me get out of this one, and I want to pull up Cinebench actually. And I may not run it just because I actually ran it earlier. So, and actually I do like to run Cinebench so you guys can actually see this machine. Let me go under here, and I'm going to run it, but you'll see the stats because it's going to be the only bar on the left side that's actually filled in, and it's not going to be super impressive. So it's way down here because they're putting cards that are like way faster, or chips that are way faster. It's a 3200, but if you notice that this i7, that's a laptop version, that's almost double that. I got to move my cursor away so I can see here. There we go. So then you can see those other ones are up in the 4000s and higher. That's the kind of performance that you're going to get with the i7. So if you really are interested in keeping this thing longer, if you're building a kids gaming machine, $60, $149, $22, you're good to go. So that's the one, right? Any other thoughts on that, Danny?
I mean, yeah, it's you think about the relevancy of budget building. So I mean, you spend $60 on a system. Yeah, you got to keep everything. That's what I've said in my streams and my content too is, if you're focusing on budget, yeah, there's always better options. There's always a way to do better, but that comes at a cost. So it's a matter of how much you want to spend. And you're building a sub $300 system, which is, I mean, if you think about just even 6 months ago, that may not have even been possible. I know that card that you're looking at right there, that 6400, I've looked at that card before.
Oh,
It was way more than 150 6 months ago. So
the GPUs are dropping fast, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely. Which is good. Thank God. We're finally returning to some normalcy in the PC hardware market. Thankfully. So us budget flippers and builders can finally get back to work.
Absolutely. Just a quick reminder, if you're watching us on Amazon, give me a shout out in the chat. Let me know that we're still streaming over there. It says we got a few people. I've got some of the products here on Amazon pulled up specifically. We were just talking about the 6400, and I'm trying to find that single slot card because that's a great, like, this is a no work flip in my opinion, right? This is drop a GPU in, install Windows, you've got a kid's PC, and you're out the door.
Mark it up $50, and you made a fair amount off of not a huge investment.
Yeah, and then I have to pull it up if I can. It's going to take me just a second, and I'll probably crash my studio machine when I do it. But I'm going to do. I want to look at Zach's Tech Turf HP 800, and I'm just going to pull this up for you guys because it's totally funny. It's one of his older ones, and I gave him a hard time because he had his like huge cans on, and he had the mic like it looked like Darth Vader. It was all. I was giving him a hard time. 800 G2.
Hey, we got to. Zach likes to give him a hard time, so it's all right. We can dish it out for him.
Absolutely. Give me a second to get through the ad. I don't want to give them free ads on Amazon here. So again, this is not my content. I have to say that just ahead of time. I want to give credit where it's due. This is one of the OG original guys from YouTube. Give me 1 second to get this. I got to figure out how to do this. Using these computers is one step beyond me. There we go.
Computers are hard
for this. Yeah, they are. Can I do theater view? Would that be enough? I think that would be enough. And I'm going to take our caption off here. But yeah, Joe was just saying there that the 480 for $35, that's just a few bucks more. Like you were saying, it's like, you're just always going to have something a little bit faster, a little bit better that you can go to. So I would absolutely recommend, buy what you need, and upgrade the parts you want. Don't feel bad because they're upgradable again later, right? So check this out. This is Zach, the transformation he does. That's the HP 800 G1. And that is the same exact machine. That is his HP 800 G1. He opened the side up. He put LCD.
He hacked that sucker up. Yeah.
Looks cool, though. And you don't have to buy. I got to get through his ad here too, but you don't have to buy. Check that machine out. You don't have to buy a new case to make something that's interesting. I always thought about maybe painting one of these pink and do like a pink camo with ferns and white and stuff. And, my kids would dig that. That would be really slick. And, make it a girl's gaming PC because my daughter's killing me in Fortnite right now. So I'm going to take a quick look at the chat, see if anybody's giving us a hard time as to what I said here. Actually, Jeff was saying 10th gen rig for a friend. He said a 10100F and a 1050 Ti. So that's the other thing, slot powered here on these GPUs, the two ones that I showed. So I've got 1070s. I got a bunch of GPUs that are a lot faster down here that I could grab, but you need a power supply. And that's kind of where we're headed here. In just a second, we're going to do that here. And a lot of people talking in the YouTube chat. Nerd on a Budget built, recently built. Here we go. See if I can get this thing to show up. I always hit the star button and not the right one. Nerd on a Budget recently built the same specs in a build video. Absolutely. Very cool. So he's talking about that 10100F.
Hey, another guy that's big time budget builder and always out on his deal hunts. So not surprising that he found something like that and made a video on it.
Oh, well, okay. We got to give credit where it's due. Zach Tech Turf, my favorite YouTuber, even when it comes to aesthetics. Even it comes to aesthetics in PCs. Yeah, he's all about making them look good. This is an office machine, but it's going to play good. Now we're going to switch gears and we're going to go to the look good part. And I may or may not have bought this case power supply combo a long time ago, like several months ago. I wasn't planning it. And then I got the case out today and I'm like, that's big. That's going to be really big. So you were telling me, Danny, you had one very similar to this. Maybe oversized.
Yeah. If you guys are in my stream, I see some people in your stream now that were on my last stream that they're giving me a hard time about mine. Like, geez, that's a big case for a little motherboard. Well, it wasn't the plan, but I found a deal. So,
yeah. And we talk about flipping deals, and I don't know if I can say flipping deals without getting the censors on us, but this is a crazy deal. And again, credit to Zach's Tech Turf because his deal thread actually is what pointed me to this thing. $89 for a full ATX case with 4 fans, a controller, and a 500 watt power supply. Like if you're going to upgrade a machine, I don't know where you get that any cheaper, really.
It looks good too. I like that look.
Exactly. Now I pulled that up on the carousel. That's the Deep Cool CL500 4F and the DA500N, just for clarity. But there's another one in my carousel too, which is actually, it's cheaper. It's $20 cheaper. So if we're going to flip this thing and you don't care about RGB, maybe you're going to add your RGB later. $69, same deal. It's a little bit smaller of a case. I'm like, $69 for a case, fans, and you're going to have that? That's crazy.
Nice.
Crazy. Now, is the power supply amazing? No, it's the Aries Game 500. It's the same category as that. It's a 4th tier, but we're budget building, right?
Yeah. Like I said
Absolutely.
earlier, you got to think with relevance in mind. And if you're budget and flipping, you're not going to want to, not even, it's not a matter of want. It's a matter of just making the right smart moves. Is you don't go put a $200-$300 top tier power supply in a budget rig that's worth anywhere between $350 to $500. Just, it's silly. So
It is, absolutely. Now, what's cool about this one is actually how quick. Now, I don't want you to time me, but I am going to relieve this thing of its core components, and I'll do that here on the top down. Hopefully I get this right this time, and maybe it's thinking about it. I'll show you how quick that is, and if that thing has to start hunting, we might have to play around with it a little bit. Let's do that here.
looks like it's doing okay now.
Yeah, I changed it to eye tracking autofocus right before because I thought that would be smart. Okay, I'm going to liberate my GPU. Now, you saw how hard that was. Literally, just take this thing out, put it off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and liberate all of my power cables, and we're going to get these later. Now, I'll tell you what, if you didn't have a power supply, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this, I've actually pulled this power supply out and used it in a full case. It works. Power supplies power, right? You're going to get power to your case. So all I'm going to do is just continue to unplug a lot of these connectors. You don't have to worry about order. You just have to worry that when you go to put them back together, you know what you're doing. There's the hard drive that I have off to the side here. I'm just moving some of these out. Another interesting thing about this flip is you are going to lose the DVD drive. So if you really wanted to have maybe your kids, maybe you do still have a big DVD collection for the kids, you may want to keep it in this case, right? But don't feel bad. Another interesting thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Another interesting about this is the USB 3 header. It is in line with the GPU. So those two GPUs I showed you actually fit with the USB 3 in the way. I'm going to show you a trick later on how we handle it if you've got a really big GPU and you just want to do an upgrade or a flip here. So I'm pulling off all of these headers real quick here. There's the audio header way back here. So I'm just kind of liberating that motherboard, making it easy to get to. Now, this machine specifically only had one DIMM, or actually technically SDRAM SIM, right?
Yeah.
So I'm dating myself here. But this one's 8 gig that I had on it. The one I ordered for 60 is actually bigger than this one that I had in stock. So I'm very excited about that. I actually ordered that MA Cube deal because I think I can do like a record budget build between $60 and $69. I'm at 130 and I'm almost got a PC, right? So
pretty solid.
Pretty crazy. So I'm going to take this shroud and I'm just going to set it off to the side. You won't need this ever again. Kind of sad. And, if you want to do this, you can actually pull this shroud out here, right up and out. Gives you a little bit easier access to things. And all I did is I flipped up the drive tray here to get access to all these things. And what's funny, for $60, another really good use of this is an Unraid server. And I know you're going, oh, you don't have a lot of drives. Well, you know what? You got one parity, one big drive, and an SSD for cache. It's like you've got what you need for an Unraid for $60, right?
Yeah,
I actually hate to
absolutely.
admit it, but I did use that. And I've used this motherboard as an Unraid because, again, you've got quick sync, right? On the CPUs. It's actually better than the AMDs, the cheap AMDs. Now, have to look real quick here. One of the things about the HPs is it uses all Torx head screws. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. I'm going to try to show you guys here what that looks like. So it's a little star pattern on the screw. The Torx head. This one is a T15, I think is what's going to fit. And that is what fits. So that takes a little bit. And again, this is a working, oh, sorry about that. This is a working studio. Literally, I work on PCs here for friends, and don't advertise, don't send me anything. But I actually do work on these. There's one trick here that I'm going to show with the small form factor. And it's the same thing on the 9020. And it's pretty slick here that you can do this. So this CPU cooler screws directly to the case, right? So that's going to be a problem. and there's our little fancy CPU down at the bottom. So this cooler is directly built into the case. Well, when we go to our new case, we're not going to have that. I'm going to show you a way to reuse that cooler. Now you could go buy a Vetru V5, one of these really cool coolers that has all the adapters, but I'll show you a way to reuse that one if you're really on a budget, if you're really tight. So taking a look, let me throw some screws around here, get mad at them. If you don't want to use these screws, you can use just the regular coarse PC screws instead on the new machine. I'd actually recommend that if you got them. So I'm just going around again, standard MATX board locations for all these screw holes. You don't do anything crazy, Dan, like a wrist strap or anything when you're working on machines, do you?
I mean, no. I mean, it's kind of a, I actually, that you mentioned, there was this one video I think I saw at Jay's 2 Cents long ago now, where he tried to put that to the test, where he was deliberately trying to kill components with static electricity and could not do it. So I think it's such a thing of the past now, where components don't have all these built-in hardware safeties like they do now. Like, I mean, sure, I've been building PCs since I was a kid, and I think even then, I wasn't really worried about that. So even though I probably wasn't really thinking about it, but I think now I would always say do the things that are provide extra safeties, like work on the table, like what you're doing. Don't throw stuff down on a carpeted floor. Don't drag your feet around on a carpeted floor or whatever. Just be sensible. So
yeah, absolutely. And touch the metal, like when I had this off and I was touching it while it was grounded, so I'm grounding.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So again, now I'm going to pull out. Now I'll tell you, one of the most common problems I see with this swap, I got to take my USB key out of there, or adapter. One of the most common problems I see with this is actually the memory. People will leave the RAM in, they'll get it all out of here and they'll put it back together, and the RAM will not seat correctly, right? I think you did a customer's PC the other day, right, where you thought that might have been the cause.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was not expecting that. It was a fun exploratory video. I thought it was going to be a big flop. But yeah, it turns out something, either some type of debris got in one of those slots, and by me yanking them in and out, I think I inadvertently removed the junk that was in there, and it started working just fine again. So
that's what I tell them, reseat the RAM. Now we got a little bit of sass in the chat here.
Of course, what do you expect with him?
Yeah, that guy, Joe from Pinky Tech joining us here. That's awesome to see you. He is on a very different time zone than we are. Now, I'm actually doing one extra thing here, and I'm just going to show you how to save a little bit of money doing this. I pulled the front bezel off. It's those 3 clips on the front. And the only reason I'm doing this is if you don't want to use any adapters, I'm going to show you a trick here. Now, actually, this screw is not the same thread, so I've already been in here, clearly. It's funny. I keep all the screws and everything because I go back and forth. I'm like, oh, I need a motherboard and a chip to do a new build. Let's go throw this over there. Okay, now I got a better one. I'm going to go put this back. That's the cool thing. It's kind of like hot rods, right? Just get to tinker with them. So I'm actually going to take the IO plate here. I'm going to pull it all the way out and through the back. Now people are going, why would you do that? Well, because you can actually save yourself a lot of hassle by just completely reusing this whole thing that I just gutted out in your new build. You can hide it in the back, and then I'll show you some ways to do that. I'm going to keep the SATA cable for the drive, and I don't need anything else. Now, if you want to make your install maybe a little bit cleaner, yes or no, depending on the power supply, there is a SATA to motherboard connector, and it's actually going to have these little drive headers on it so that it can actually power up to, 1, 2, 3, and then, a SATA CD. So you've got that. You don't have to run your power supply cables through. So you can go right off the motherboard, depending on your build. That might be something you keep. And I'll take it off of the CD. So that's the gutted machine there. This is like a butcher. I've got like the carcass here. Got it all out. We're going to save this stuff. Now you could decide to use a bigger GPU now. That's another advantage of case swapping, and probably one of the best reasons to case swap. Not only if you want it to look better, but if you want to have, RGB and other cool stuff. But if you want to be able to take not this GPU, but let's grab a bigger one than that even. Maybe you want to sit this GPU. It's like, this isn't even a big one. This is a 580, but it's longer than the board is already, right? So it's like, yeah, you're not going to fit that in a small form factor, right? And you'll get pretty decent performance out of this, but just depending on what you have. So Now, if I really wanted a GPU flex, I'd go get the 3070 Ti out of that Air Force machine. That was a cool one.
That could make for a fun video.
Yeah, drop that in this thing. I think that might be a little bit overkill. Then it's like
Worst CPU bottleneck ever. Yeah.
There it is. So I'm going to open up the power supply next. I just kind of want to see what I got here. Again, this is my first time using this exact model from Deepcool. But again, $69 for case and power supply. You just can't beat that.
That's a bronze power supply. Not to say that automatically makes it an amazing quality, but that's it's a little shocking to see that they would ship something that even has an 80+ rating with a case. So that's pretty cool.
100,000 hour MTBF, mean time between failures, crossfire support, long cable. Now, what's funny is this is a big case. We're going to need a long cable. So I'm glad about that. I didn't even plan that. Maybe they were thinking about it.
Now branding is funny there.
It's not even long modular, cable. Right? So I'm going to pull this. We don't use those cables. It does have, what did you call these on your first show? Like I heard you call them
ketchup and mustard cables, man.
Ketchup and mustard.
I'm trying to just bring it back, new style.
Exactly.
They say all styles have come back. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to totally do one with chest hair, but I don't think that would go yet. Gotta go another little while on that. Jeff Wayne says, I went from a Cooler Master Q500L, so it's a massive case. And Jeff also says, hey, you know what? I can actually hit these things and you guys can read them, So 6 to 7 hours for his 12th gen rig in a Fractal Design 7 compact. Didn't want to end first high-end case. Well, yeah, this is not a high-end case. This is a budget case. But again, overall, power supply looks right. It has the things you need, the fans. It's not like overly obnoxious. It is a little bit lighter. That's kind of a sign that your heat sinks are not going to be huge. I'm actually looking for them to try to even see where they are.
Or any at all, yeah.
Or any at all, I'm not making review videos about these parts. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to take a little bit of these out of the way, and I'm going to get that big case. Like we said earlier, make sure, I'm just walking off screen. Here we go. So make sure whatever you do, keep the box for this. And I'll show you how big this box is. When I said that I kind of underestimated the case size. Yeah. So this is a full-size case, probably bigger than you need.
Plenty of airflow.
Tempered glass side. Oh, not a show sponsor, but bash that like button. That's from our friends Tom's Hardware.
Nice.
Got
Jeff says something interesting in the chat. I didn't know this. Deepcool uses the same OEMs as everyone else. They're decent. So you might have yourself a power supply that won't, self-destruct itself in the next month.
I love it. Like, again, I honestly, I've been following Zach's Tech Tip. Let me say that 7 times fast. Deal Forum. That's where I've been getting a lot of these. And I just buy them ahead of time. And that's one that you have to do, right? When you're PC building, you may not have a project for that PC when that sale comes, right?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely done that too, especially with there was also some mentions in the chat about EVGA B stock. I buy up usually the house limits on those sometimes with it being power supplies. And now you might be able to, I don't know if they'll give you more than one GPUs, things are starting to come into B stock. So that's a good place to be looking too.
Okay. First time building in this case. A couple things I noticed, and I'm going to pull the case up here and we're going to go on Amazon and check it out real quick. Big. But you know what? Honestly, if I was building that flight sim machine and I wanted it to look more industrial, take a look at that front grill. That is all airflow. And once those fans kick on, I can't imagine what it's going to have 3 lights, LED lights there. Let me do top down.
Looks pretty slick.
Can't even fit in the top down camera. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. So you've got big, this thing is as wide as my hand is wide. Large power button. You got LED. Now, what's funny is it showed in one of them that it had a USB-C, but this one did not ship with the USB-C. So that's good. I thought I was going to lose that, but doesn't look I'm going to use that. So the standard I/O up front looks good to me. Oh, you know what? That was the release. There's power buttons over here. Again, first time on using this one, but take a look at that.
Oh, nice. Ease of installation. Pretty solid for a budget. You don't see that in a budget case like that.
Yeah, and the integrated filter is super tight. Like you can see that hopefully on the camera. That means lots of airflow when you can see through it. but easy to maintain. Let me see if I got that right. Did I do that right? I think I did.
Looks like
Yeah, pretty cool case so far. This again is the CL500 from Deep Cool. Let me pull that up on the Amazon carousel. I got to make sure I'm not past Pinky Tech's bedtime. Hey, Angelica, and hey, Paul Kurtzo. He said this is his first time watching. Hopefully you learned something here. We are building in the Deep Cool CL500. Now, what's interesting about this case, too, don't buy the case by itself that's in the carousel. Buy the case with the power supply, and it's like $30 less, and I don't understand why, right? Again, just one of those sales that I ran across. So let's see this.
killer deal.
There we go. Magnetic side closure.
Ooh.
Check that out. So you've never built one of these either.
Yeah, that's solid for a budget case.
You know what's funny is the whole top is plastic, which is, I guess, a little different than some of the metal top cases, but the rivets are all where they're supposed to be. Oh, you know what? The back's magnetic too.
Oh man, easy
Talk about
access.
that's going to make an easy build. But the other thing is, I'm going to have to be really careful shipping this thing because both sides are magnetic.
I'll throw a piece of tape on it or something.
Yeah, I put that Instapack on there, and it's going to shoot it right off. So we're just taking a look. If this is your first time here, I'm John, the Net Guy. I'm joined by Dan from PC Tech Hustle. We are both self-described budget builders. We are doing a live show here on Amazon, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere else that'll have me. And I'm showing you guys how to do a budget flip of this carcass here. This is an HP 800G2 into this computer here, which is going to look really sick when it's going. I can't wait to see that. So I just want to give you the lay of the land. There it is, top down. 3 fans. Now, this looks like check this out, man.
No way.
GPU bracket. It's a GPU reinforcement holder for long GPUs, adjustable up and down. I have not seen that in a budget case ever.
You'd never see that. I'm impressed with the amount of features that case has for the amount of money spent. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, literally $89 right now gets you the case
deal.
and the power supply. I've got it highlighted in the carousel. Don't buy the one in the carousel, buy the combo, save yourself a little bit of money, and you get both parts for, the same price or less. That's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
So it's telling us that we're going to use a SATA drive cable. That's okay. We got plenty of those. So it wants us to use one of those. That's powering the fans. And again, that's that
better than Molex, right?
Better than Molex, yeah. And
yeah.
Look at this, that GPU bracket. If I have a screwdriver, because it's down tight, that GPU bracket is on a thumb screw. So you can loosen it and tighten it, but you go like that and up and down. Awesome. That's cool. Let's take a look at the back side of the case real quick here. We've got 2 drive caddies for your 2.5s. And is that 3 slots now? 1, 2 here.
Looks like 2, yeah.
If you pulled them out, you may be able to get more, but check this out. I haven't seen this again in budget builds. You're going to love this. Slots, like they're actually trays. They're not like try to reach down in there. I haven't
like
seen
metal too.
Yeah, full metal trays here with a single screw. So that's going to make it a lot easier. We don't have a spinning drive in this build, but man, if you did, that's going to make it a lot easier. I like that. Well, where do you think we should start? Let's take a quick poll. I don't have the poll feature actually lined up here, but let's take a quick poll. Uh-oh. Jonathan says he got banned from the ZTT server because he got hacked. Oopsie. Jeff's telling us about some other ones. Jonathan was asking about that case. Yeah. So this case combo is $89 with the power supply that I got over here. But you can actually get the MA Cube, which is on its way right now. That's the other one I got in the carousel here, which is pretty slick. It's $69. I don't know how you beat that, man. That's ridiculous. $69 for both of those. That's a
awesome deal.
So let's see who says, should we start with the power supply or motherboard mounting first? I'm thinking motherboard. Now, as with all cases, they're going to come with a parts bag here. So I just want to remind you guys of that. That's where you can find all of the screws. And, the ones that they have in the HP, they'll work, but those are those Torx heads. And I like to keep the screws for my original build. So if I'm going to do a flip, I can't tell you how many times I flipped a machine back. Have you done that before, Dan?
Flip the machine
back in a 90-20?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you do what you got to do to make the sale, right? So,
and what's weird is when I've sold machines, locally or whatever to people, I've never had anyone ask me, why is the motherboard green or what brand is it? Like nobody cared, at least when I'm selling them, because I'm doing budget builds, right? I've never had somebody go, oh, what's that? Is that a HP or a Dell or whatever?
They're just concerned about it gaming. So, yeah, and it
Yep.
looks like if I noticed that side panel looked like it had a little bit of tint to it, so that could help hide a little bit of the green PCB. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Something to consider for PC flipping if you're trying to create an aesthetic. That's a good way to hide some of the ugly OEM stuff.
And you know what? It's not like I'm sure you can see HP there, but it's not like super branded HP everywhere. It just looks like a board. And I've actually thought about painting these. I know some people early on in the flipping days did that. But I'm not that gutsy yet.
Never attempted that. Yeah.
So I want to show you one thing that we're going to do real quick before we get all this in here, regardless if we start PC or motherboard or power supply first. But you got to deal with that CPU. Now, I could pull the other CPU out. I don't actually want to do that. I'm going to stick with the standard one that we've got now. But what I am going to do is show you a trick that can let you reuse the factory fan. Now, that actually has threaded ends in here. I don't know if I can show that for you. So this fan is decent. Like it's going to do the standard stuff in Cinebench. You're not going to get like amazing performance. We're not overclocking here, right? So it's designed to run well with this fan. Now I could go in and clean off a lot of that thermal paste, which I probably should, but I'm just going to add some. Put a little dab on there.
YOLO.
Interest of time. Here we go. This is a budget build. Like I said, this is not the super spendy builds. But I want to show you something cool here. So it is another product that's already in the carousel. If I get the right bag, and that is going to be the power supply adapter that's going to go with this. So we're going to need a power supply adapter to put that really big piece power supply in, because we don't have an ATX slot here. But another thing that you're going to need is 4, and they're kind of small here. They're called 632nd or 632 nuts. Now you could actually use, if you have a case standoffs, extra one of these standoffs that are coming in the bottom. And again, let's take a look here. A lot of times the parts bag will carry them. I got 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, this thing might actually have enough. What those are is they're the exact right size. So I just have these, hopefully you guys can see that. I just have these very tiny nuts here. Okay, don't clip that for Discord. So I've got these right here, and I'm going to put the fan in.
I'm waiting for a Pinky Tech response on that one.
Yeah, they've been on fire tonight. I'm gonna flip this over so you guys can see it, but here's what I'm gonna do. No washers or anything, because these are designed to actually have metal to metal contact. I'm gonna take 4 of these, and I'm just gonna screw these down, and that lets me reuse the CPU fan. Now you couldn't do this. I don't think you could do this on the Dell small form factor. There were so many.
I have not attempted that on a Dell, though. Now you've got my interest perks.
So now all those small form factors that we skipped over,
right? They're not doorstops after all. How about that?
Yeah, you might be able to pull off. Now you're not going to be able to get much tension on these because you are going to have to tighten them here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here real quick, and I'm just tightening them down. Now these are spring bolts, so when you tighten them down, just get them snug. You don't have to be reefing on them. They'll stop, and those springs will actually hold the pressure evenly. So I'm just going to get that tightened down, and now I just saved you what, $20 on a CPU fan, right?
Heck yeah! I guarantee you that cooler right there, same cooler that comes with the i7 too, so it should cool the i7 of that same generation without a problem.
Yep. There we go. We got that. Let's take a look real quick here. Anything? Nothing from Pinky. Okay, we survived that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look real quick here. Now, I don't have a backplate on here. You're not going to get a backplate with this. I saw a very enterprising engineer flipper out there. I wish I could give references to all these guys that have gone before me and done this really cool upgrade. But I saw one of them, and what he did was he 3D printed a backplate for this that fit perfect. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I was that good. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for the standoffs I'm going to need. I'm going to need one there and one there if we're going to do this right. And that's real common. But this case will hold up to a full-size ATX board, and it might even go bigger to an ETX board. Couple tricks you can actually do. You could just move the bottom ones up if you're lazy and don't want to grab new ones. I'm just grabbing the new ones out of the kit. Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't want to jinx.
probably pinned out. Probably it just has in standoffs installed to fit a ATX size board. I ran the same issue when I did my stream last week
Mm.
because I was installing into a large case as well. So I had to move some around. But usually you can get away with it if it's a full size. I bet it's ready to go for that.
I knew I was going to jinx myself because I was like, man, that first one went in so good. Like it was almost threaded. I hate that. Like on the really cheap cases, they don't thread well. I had one of those a couple weeks ago. That one threaded down really nice. Again, fit and finish, build quality. It's even got the gasketing around
Grommets,
every single hole, man.
nice.
Okay, I'm a fan. Just saying.
Help hide
Okay,
those. Oh wait, you're not going. We won't have too much ketchup and mustard on. Or you? Oh, there is a little bit on that power supply actually. So
yeah.
those
Now what's
grommets will help.
funny, you know what? My adapter for that power supply is only going to come up here and out. So if you didn't need to use any other, we might actually be almost completely empty
Might
in
look
here.
pretty clean. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to get, this is my power supply adapter. Let me pull that up real quick on Amazon. Make sure I got this. This is from ComEP. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I want to pull this one up because this is the one I know works. And that was the problem I had on the Dell 9020. I don't know if you got that in your feedback. EAP, but people were buying like the generic ones or some others, cheaper sellers, and their machine wouldn't boot up. And I'm like, yeah, don't do that. You know, don't save like $2 and then have to send all this stuff back and your machine doesn't work right, you know, and all the issues.
I hope you didn't mispin something and it's a dead paperweight doorstop at that point.
You know what? I misplaced my favorite tool. It's not here. I have my powered screwdriver that I've been building with, and I love that thing, and I don't see it.
Oh
No.
no.
I've been
Oh
doing a
no.
lot of builds lately. Let me just put it that way. So I've been going back and forth quite a bit here. I'm just going to test and make sure that the standoffs on this one are the size that I think they are.
I need to get me one of those powered screwdrivers. Seeing more and more tech YouTubers using them.
You know, I was skeptical, but now I'm not. Now that I've been using them, I actually like it. It saves me a lot of time. I always start with this one. I don't know which screws you start with there, but I like to start with the center one because then I can move the whole board and kind of align everything.
That's not a bad idea. I usually actually go corner on one side and then go opposite corner on the other side. And then once I know I got those two lined up, everything else should go. But I like your technique.
Yep. It's because we've been building PCs since people were in diapers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dinosaurs roam the earth. Okay, maybe just slightly less than that. It's bad. So I've got one kid in the Coast Guard, and I've got one kid that literally was using beach buckets in the backyard as a bathroom. And so I'm like, yeah, you know, we got the whole range here. You know, he's a 3-year-old. So he might have, I can't say corporal punishment, but he might have gotten a strict talking to about that.
Yeah, I've been there, done that as well.
Yes, parenting. Gosh, we could do a whole parent stream. Actually, Zach does that quite a bit often.
Yeah.
Because his dad live streams, and I can't imagine. I'm trying not to get kicked off Amazon tonight. Let's put it that way. Speaking of, if you guys have not yet, do me a big favor here. Even if you're on one of the other services, hit my Amazon page. Do me a quick favor. The giveaway I'm doing next week is going to be epic, like epic. Over $400 value. I have not given anything away that much. That's probably actually a lot of the parts this year. Maybe add up to 400 that I've given away. And I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get brands to send me an extra one to give you guys. But it's going to be a killer stream, and it's only going to be for followers. So I got to point that out. So if you haven't gone to my Amazon page and hit follow, do that for me real quick, and we'll get you ready for that drawing. I can't put the drawing up yet. I was trying to use a service like Gleam or one of those other ones until I saw how much they were. Like, you realize I'm a startup, right? You know, so I'm just getting a couple things quickly ready here. I'm getting the slots knocked out here for my GPU. And you know what's another thing? Actual case covers. They're not thick by any stretch. Like, these are super thin. They don't have an outside rail on them, but you actually have removable ones. I know a lot of the budget cases, you get your motherboard in and you go to pull those out. And it's like, well, which capacitors do I want to knock off the board?
Yeah. Another feature that you typically see in cases that are, $60 plus, like you definitely don't get I'm just really impressed by this case and the amount of features it has. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So let's say we want to upgrade our GPU. What would be an NVIDIA that's compatible with a 10 or a 1650, 1070, right? There, that's going to give us a little bit of chooch. So I'm just kind of fitting that in. That's the same spot. Okay, so now we can take this super budget build. We can throw a $300 card in, or what was a $300 card, and put that in. But there's a problem with this one. I have to point it out real quick, which is this slot right here. So it's going to go all the way back. And let's see where the fans line up on this. This is going to be kind of weird to try to show you guys. But that's been a problem with these really long GPUs and this HP case is that they cover it up. Now, you can't necessarily see that. These ones are actually SATA ports here, but it's actually covered up down there. So I won't be able to use that GPU and preserve this without one other small item here. Hey, welcome, Serene. Good to see you guys here. And Paul says, I used to flip back in the 90s. And you know what? I bought PCs in the 90s and built them. So, it's funny. I might have bought from you, Paul. Who knows?
And we might have someone about our age in the chat.
There we go. That's what he's saying. So let me pull up this real quick from my Amazon page. I want to show it to you. This is a cool trick, an adapter that's going to really help you when it comes to building this and not having to do a lot of extra work. So this is from COM EAP, and this is just an extension. And I've seen a lot of the flippers that are doing this. Let me pull
Love
up.
those things.
Yeah. And, again, big case like this, maybe your USB header, not in the right spot or your build. And let me show you what this thing looks like on the top down real quick. I just took myself out, wrong one. So that's what it is right here. And again, for a few bucks, you can grab one of these. And remember, we're talking about GPU fitment, right? Take this out. You put this in the slot here. Now, I might bend it over this way just so that it comes out, the opposite of my SATA ports. And now I should be able to connect up whatever I need, right? So that's another option here. Now, there are some tricks with the front panel IO on this. That's another thing that's hard on these HPs. This is modified. There is actually a pin issue with these front panels if you don't include the front panel. And that's why I actually grabbed the whole front panel from the other case, because you can actually swap all that IO. And I'm going to do that just because it's easier. I don't want you to have to do any cutting for this upgrade. So I'm going to put that in. We're going to see if this GPU actually fits. Here we go. GPU's in, and it holds down our connector right there. Nice.
There you go. Yeah.
And then you remember that big snake of IO, right? Now, I might, if I was a real nice clean builder, I would shove all this down below. But what I'm going to show you is I can take this adapter in now, and I can actually plug it like so. So now you're saying, okay, what am I doing with this USB 3s and whatever? That's actually going to allow it to boot up. If you don't have these two things plugged in, the thing thinks that something happened in shipping. So you need that yellow and that. Now you can connect your front panel audio right off of this. So really the front panel audio is the main one I use. There's another trick to this too, because you're like, oh, John, what if I need to use the USB 3 header? Now, it's funny because these are all adapters, but I don't want you to have to do any cutting. And Dan's like, okay, he's got 2 adapters, 3 adapters on this.
Hey, making it
Amazon
work.
Commissions.
That
so
too.
I'm going to pull this up real quick off my Amazon page. Now, all of these items that I'm referencing are on the Amazon page. And again, you can buy these. It's nice to have these just sitting around, honestly, if you're a common PC builder, because now what I can do is I can go find those USB 3 slots, and I've basically adapted myself back to being able to use the front panel. Now, I would hide all this in the bottom. I'm not going to sell this machine, but there's a couple ways you could do this. You could hide this all down there. You could do the pin stuff that a couple guys have figured out and shown, but that ugly contraption here is enough to actually make it work with the IO. So I'm going to see if I can slide that out of the way. I am going to put the RAM in real quick because I got that sitting in front of me. I don't know which slot makes a difference on this because, again, it's OEM. It's 2100 RAM, so I'm not trying to break the bank here on speed.
Plenty of speed though for that processor. You won't be able to get much. And honestly, compatibility with that motherboard, you're probably not going to be able to get too much out of it anyway. Either way.
Yep. And I'm trying to figure out how to not cover the GTX logo because that's what everybody likes. Again, if I'd have built this thing 16 times before, the show, that would be one thing. I am going to come up through here and I'm going to just go ahead and put that power supply adapter through. So quick top down rig. 1 second. Okay, so up on the top down, this is the adapter that's going to take your current power supply that you have right now, and it's going to take the 24 pins and bring it down to 6 pins and the special HP connector that you need. So you need these two ends to go through, which I'm going to do right here. If I've got the right location. Just double checking right out there. And then that I'm going to leave, and I'm just looking for a couple of the other IO pins. Now, I do have a graphic here. This is how the IO is on, I just got that for you, the HP. So you can actually see how the IO lines up. Another super cool trick, and again, I'm not above parlor tricks here when you're doing flipping. Another cool trick that you can do is you can just borrow the power switch if you actually had to, right? If you're just building a machine for yourself and you're not selling it and you just want to be able to, turn it on once, maybe it's that Unraid server we talked about, you can pull the whole power switch and bring it over. Okay, so now that those adapters are through, let's go ahead and plug those in. So this one adapter goes here from one side, and this one goes in the white connector. There we go. And
I think I wanted to at least spill a little history lesson on our relationship here, John. The way I got to know John was doing this exact stuff he's doing right now. I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, building up a flip machine just like this, and I need to know what the pinout was and how to adapt a Dell Optiplex, and I found John's content. So this man knows what he's doing. He's done it a few times before.
And somehow you got a lot more subscribers on your channel,
I don't know what happened. Well, they ain't coming in hot and heavy like they used to. So
that's just taxes, man. Okay, so I'm looking for the different power switch and power pinouts. I'm going to show that again for myself, mainly, not for you guys. Power switch is going to be the pins that are north side of that connector, and I'll show you the connector I'm working on. And then the HDD LED is the top side of the connector. And then we'll do the last one real quick here.
I like that diagram. Somebody really put some work into that.
Is that like SketchUp? Is that what that is? Kind of looks like it.
I like it. 3D.
The other cool thing, again, with this case, we can't say enough about this case so far, is that it does have an RGB controller. Because, again, you're flipping machines that were never, ever designed to be flipped this way, right? So what am I looking for here? I'm looking for the last of the IO. It's going to be the power connector, which again should come from the front panel up there. It's kind of like an NZXT. You can see how it has these straps, but it's not quite there yet. And man, does it have enough fan connectors here. It's got enough for like another 16 more fans.
Uh-oh, you're running into my problem now.
Yeah, you got what? You're up to 15 now?
Lost count.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm going to have to save that power connector. I've got 2 of these run through. I only see 1, 2. Oh, no, there's a third. Okay, I lied. Oh, you know what? That one goes back up. See, this is the time-consuming part of PC building, right? Is getting all the stuff. So do you build yours, Dan, ahead of time? Are you doing any of that pre-building while you're...
Not for my live streams. Like if it's a video where it's, obviously not a live stream and I've got a build associated to it, that's the beauty of video editing. That helps me get things figured out. So where I'm doing the guess and trying to figure out what you're doing right now, well, we could just cut that out. So
yeah, like all this delay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't see it here, obviously. So I know there's a power LED somewhere, but I did not see it. I am seeing a bunch of fan breakouts and stuff here.
I've noticed some cases don't have it. Maybe it just doesn't have a power LED.
You know what's interesting too? So you know what I'm noticing? and again, this is my first time building in this case. So I've got my RGB, but I've got these PWMs for the fan right here.
It's got a little PWM breakout.
Yeah, it's got
That's
this little
awesome.
breakout board. And I think what had happened is there's this adapter, and I think all of these fans are getting connected so that you'll run them to your chassis. But I don't got a chassis on this. Sorry. So we're going to go and just run these up here off of this. I'm sure if I actually read the manual, and again, who's got time for the manual, right?
Wouldn't make for an entertaining stream to watch you reading the manual.
This is always when what do we do the thing like, will it post? That's my big challenge. So right at that time, will it post? So quick thing on this is either going to be facing up or down. The power supply orientation is completely personal. If you face it down, it's going to draw air from the bottom. So if you're setting this on carpet, oh my gosh, Dan, I got to show you this, man. It's got huge feet. Look at this. It's got these rails.
Lots of breathing room. Yeah.
And a built-in filter. It's not the biggest filter I've seen, like as far as it's not super built
one of
up
those
like
little cheaper ones.
but it's replaceable,
Yeah,
and I can remove that tray. So
good stuff. Yeah.
I'm just saying, for the price, I think Jeff was telling us earlier that this is from some of the common OEMs. In this case, I'm actually going to draw air in from the bottom and out the back. So I'm going to insert it this way. And then I'm going to use a couple coarse thread screws from our supply here. And most power supplies will come with them as well. So if you're running low on screws with your kit, you can do that. Now, as I said earlier, if you don't want to run the adapter, you probably won't be able to do it in this case because it's tall, but you can actually run the stock power supply. So I was able to get that computer running earlier with the stock power supply and a GPU. You won't do it with a 1070, which is what I threw in here. But
Definitely
if you want to do that, it's kind of a cool option. You can do that like I did that if I didn't have a lot of budget for another power supply, or I was waiting on the part. I could get it booted up, get Windows installed, do everything just off the old little tiny HP power supply.
What does that power supply got in terms of wattage,
This is 500, I think. So
or the one that came out of the HP.
Oh, now that's the other thing. So it's a 200 watt power supply.
Yeah.
But what I did is I actually connected my kilowatt. I showed that on the shows past. I connected my kilowatt to it. It actually worked out brilliant because it was just under 200 watts at the wall, which is even better. So it was well within spec. So connecting a lot of stuff. We did forget one thing, which is our drive. We need our SATA drive. And you know what I'm going to do? I hate to say it. We're past the days of spinning drives here, Danny.
Yeah, unless you got like what you're talking about, server. I mean, it's a rare budget option. A lot of times where I include like a spinning drive is like, say I bought an Optiplex behind me, and sometimes you get lucky and they will come with one. Most times they won't, just because it'll have possibly identifiable information on them. But I'll include them if I can throw it in just as extra. But yeah, we're definitely past those days, like you said.
Oh man, I'm missing a bunch of chats here. You're gonna have to cheat here and go to the chat tab and tap some of these things out for me, man.
Oh yeah.
Check this out. Randy J says 1980 was my first PC. That's Apple time frame or earlier.
Oh
that's
wow.
Apple. Yeah, 1984.
I think Randy wins there because I didn't exist for 5 years. I'll just say that.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I didn't hear you say that. Okay, now this is going to be interesting because I have no idea how they got this thing in here, because this drive cage is actually wider than the lip, so it has to come out the back. Sorry, I was like, or the front. I was like, how did they get this in here? No, can't. Yeah, it's not going to be able to get out that way.
Is the opening where the power supply is it larger where you slide it back and out? No. Huh.
Check that out. That thing is literally so big. I'd have to flex it, and I kind of don't want to. I was hoping it had a lip or something. It lets you remove it there. Could it come through the front?
Yeah, I wonder if that front panel will pull off and you can do it from there.
Ah, the elusive grab handle,
off
right?
Too.
Ta-da! Nothing.
No.
Yeah. Well, okay, I liked this case until that point, and
Yeah,
then
me too. All right, get it out of here. Next
okay.
stream.
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. We'll get a better one next time. No, I'm gonna leave that in there. I was just trying to move it forward to give a little bit of room. It does have some adjustability, so you can bring it forward and back. I may not tap that down. We'll see. I do
That
want
is
to kind
kind
of
of
get
a
this
bummer. You
booted
can't
up.
take it out though.
I'm worried that Pinky's gonna give me a hard time if I'm not done in 6 hours. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling off. I'm going to hide the drive. That's one of the things. If you don't have an NVMe because you're not like spending that kind of money on this machine because you're buying a budget build, you can use these older, cheaper spinning drive. Well, not spinning drives. These older, cheaper SATA drives, and just hide them on the back of your case. Nobody will be the wiser, right? And
There you go.
honestly,
Yeah.
they who was it? Linus did a thing, and this is years ago now, but he actually tested people out. He actually did a blind test and had 3 machines, one with a spinning drive, one without, and had them come up. And there was like a video rendering program and a couple games, and people could not tell the difference. And they could tell between the spinning drive and then the SSD like greatly, but between the SSD and the NVMe, not a chance. And that was kind of a selling point to me. I was like, yeah, okay, maybe it's all hype, right?
Yeah, you're only really going to see that if you're doing the things that we do, video, moving large files around on your system or off your system. But if it's just coming to just normal use case, general usage and gaming, you're not going to notice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a chance here by putting one of the connectors on. And I was looking to see, there's another SATA connector. Now I'm going to get cable management down the road. Any hot tips for cable management, Dan?
Shove it in and close the door.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the magnetic side stays on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, might have to really shove it in then.
There we go. So
yeah, it looks like you got some after stream stuff to deal with there.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I did post a cable management picture on Twitter the other day after I got that Air Force machine built. And it was funny because I'm like, she's a 10, but she calls this cable management, and it was just a bird's nest of all the stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of it. So I do need to pass through one of the PCI. Now, this one said it had crossfire support, so I'm guessing it has some GPU headers, but again, you don't expect much on 500 watts, right?
That's funny they mentioned crossfire. Crossfire is such a dead thing. You tell that some old branding wording coming through the being
not quite
reused.
1980s marketing guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to push this guy through. Again, it's nice to have a lot of these little slots. And again, I wish I had a modular power supply. This thing would be awesome, right?
You wouldn't have much of a rat's nest, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so you won't see much on the front, right? You're going to see, well, other than the really ugly cable nest that I made us here because of this thing. And again, I can get that out of there eventually. So I'm not too worried about that. I am going to pull up the PCIe for the 8-pin. She's not pretty, but she works, right? Here we go. That's aligned. I'm going to get that pushed in. Oh, I just noticed I did not actually screw the GPU down. I probably should do that, huh?
Helps, especially when we're talking about ripping GPUs out earlier.
Okay, and just to help myself, I'm making sure it aligns. Fit and finish, so far, everything's aligned pretty well on this case. Now that I've said that, I'm totally jinxing myself.
Especially considering you're using, an OEM board on a aftermarket case. So
yeah, exactly. So I grabbed the longest SATA cable, and I probably should have gone through the bottom for this one, but I'm going to sneak it underneath the GPU, and we're going to put it into the slot 1. There we go. I think I have everything that I need, other than that power LED, which I feel kind of bad about. Again, this is my first time swapping into this case. I've swapped a bunch of these over. Everything should boot up the way it's supposed to now. What do you think the over-under is? You think it's going to post for me?
I think you got it. I have faith.
Okay. Let's do this in the chat real quick here. This is a thing we do every single time. Will it post? Tell you what, if you have not already hit the follow button on my Amazon page here, let me get this out of the way. If you have not already done that, do me a favor, hit the follow over there on my Amazon shop if you haven't been there. If this posts or it doesn't, do me a favor there, because it's been a lot of work PC building tonight. I am making sure that I'm putting it in the GPU. Another cool thing about this is if you're having trouble, again, getting the GPU working, adapters, you're not quite sure what's going on, go ahead and keep the GPU out. It's an Intel and it's got a built-in graphics card. So you can use this for Minecraft and solitaire and basic stuff, even without a GPU. So you're looking at $120 something flip. I don't know if everything's going to fire up and look crazy neon when I go, but we're about to do it. Is everybody ready for that?
Let's go.
Any last words? Here we go. Looking in the chat.
Don't forget to hit your power supply switch. I always do that.
I have it ready. Actually, you know what? I want to do this because this has got some pretty cool fans. Okay. The power supply switch is on.
Post.
Oop,
Okay.
what?
We got lights.
Okay. It booted for a second and then it stopped.
It went green. Uh-oh.
One. Oh, I'm getting lights, blinky lights. Oh. No.
Is it just flipping back off? Is that what it's doing?
It did flip back off. Let me try one other orientation that I've seen on these, possibly.
Sounds like you might have a pin.
Ooh, pin alignment issue on the front, maybe. Yeah, I'm getting a blink code out of the hard drive diagnostic LEDs. Ah. Interesting. I'll tell you what, we're going to pull this GPU out and I'm going to do a couple diagnostic things. So again, totally failed on that one. You can totally super chat. It would make my life feel better now.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Hey, I've lived this moment before and you've seen it.
He's like, I like this. I like seeing John go through this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out that USB 3 adapter that I've got in there. And I'm just going to, because that's usually on this HP model, as long as you have all the same front IO connected that you had in your other one. Let's try that. And I'll show you another trick that you can do as well. So I'm going to take this adapter out. And this is just, again, process of elimination, right? So we're trying to do all the things that we would want. And I don't know if I have the proper...
Were fans spinning up for a second?
It
I
did.
didn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all spun up.
Okay, because there was a comment here thinking maybe you're just hitting the LED button on the controller.
No, that was the power side, sadly. Give me 1 second here. So what I'm going to do is...
Yeah, front panel might be wonky.
Oh, you know what? So it's not getting a power good. It definitely is not getting a power good there. I'm going to do another trick, and I've mentioned this before, but saving that old carcass, you can grab the whole power switch right off of this. It's kind of a trick, but I recommend having this handy. And I'm just pulling the power switch right through the front. We'll deal with the pinouts later, right? Keep following me on our next show. We'll cover exactly what the pinouts are. They're a little bit different between this and the other one, but what you can do, put that there. I got a red 1, 2, 3, 4, and a red 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh,
I got to show this
HP
one.
blink codes. This is the challenge for you guys. I'm going to turn it off and we'll get it to reset here. And we'll turn it back on. Let's see. That is back on. That is through our power. This is back to all of the original IO except that one, which I don't think the audio is going to matter, but I'll put it on anyway, right? And we'll see. Wall of shame. I'm telling you.
Hey, you can't call yourself a builder unless you have these moments here and there.
And by here and there, you mean not today, right?
You never want to have them, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's the reality. You're gonna at some point.
So I've got that one in. I've got that one in. I'm all back to the original except for this adapter. And I don't have a GPU in here. So let's try turn that off. Now I can reseat the RAM. That was the other thing that we talked about. So dim 1, 2, 3. Did see a blink there. And I've got that connector right. I've noticed this happened to me the other day, and I can't remember exactly what I did to fix it, where this power light here will pulse. Shoot, now I'm trying to think about which one that was. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try one other adapter here because I've got 2 of these. Maybe I got a bad adapter. Hopefully not. And if not, this might be a shortened stream. Might go back to the original swap. So
Let's say, or can you jump the? Can you do a jump there
on the power pins
just to see if it'll? Because that could probably tell you then it is your power pins for sure, or your pin out.
Yeah, we could. That power switch is supposed to report back a pulse code, right? It's supposed to do that, but it didn't do that for me this time. It's literally not lighting up, which is not great. So there is adaptive circuitry inside of these as well. So that's the adapter right there. I'm going to shove this through here. Yeah, the thing is, and that's the easiest method, is to borrow all of the front I/O because it's right there. Make sure
we got CPU power EPS plugged in. Or I'll highlight this comment then, because it was definitely as Pinky said that, it's like, you know what? I don't remember seeing him do it either.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't let you get too far then.
Back to the show. Hey, Pinky, you could have sent that comment about an hour ago.
Come on, man. I guess that's my bad. I'm here one watching and commentating. I'm like, yeah, no, it looks good.
So this is the long cable it was talking about. I'm on the back side of this. Let me get it to where you can see it. So this is the CPU power. How many streams have people done that?
Well,
okay, we're gonna make.
In your defense, you have a lot of cables to work with back there, so I can see how you missed it. That's how I missed it. That's what I'm
okay. So find out if Pinky knows what he's talking about. I did show you now how to undo all of the stuff if we ever need to. That's that. That's that.
Hey. Fan's still spinning. That's good.
It's booting. All right. Okay. We're back in business, Pinky. Thank you, my friend. See, this is like super late stream for him, and I'm actually super happy that he was here. Look at all these colors. So it's got a ton of LED options. I just turned it off myself there, but I'm going to put the GPU back in. I'm going to put the things the way I had them because, again, I was trying to go the easiest route possible. I'm going to take some of these adapters back out. So it looks like in this case, we validated that both adapters work.
Hey, there you go.
So, and I've got another machine just like this and a Deep Cool MA that I'm going to be flipping locally. I think I'm going to take that one because I'm going to be in it maybe $200, right? Even 150. And I'm hoping that I can flip that one locally and make a pretty good coin on it. So that's another thing. I don't know. What's the best PC flip that you've done, Danny?
Oh, let me think. I'll tell you what, like doing what you're doing right now is probably, if you're thinking in terms of like making some money off of a flip, is finding these OEMs and dressing them up the way you're doing it, or like you did earlier in the stream, is quickly just throw a GPU into it and have some benchmarking data to say, yeah, it'll do this, that, and the other pretty well. So where you get expensive and your margins narrow is when you're
Pinky saved the day. You did.
Is when you're doing builds that are more aesthetics are built in, and then you're spending more money on them. So sure, it draws a lot more attraction, but at the same time, if you're in it to also try to run maybe a side hustle business, then you also got to consider your own bottom line.
Yeah. And I've seen people get literally pallets of these from companies for $150. I think I saw somebody the other day on Discord. I was like, I got a pallet of 4th gens. I'm like, well, okay, now you got a pallet of 4th gens, but that's up to you. Let me put this power switch the way I think it's supposed to go. And I'm going to take a look. And again, I'm going to throw this up so you guys can see it for later for posterity if you need it. That's the power switch orientation and the power LED orientation. And the HDD LED is the only one that I could find on this one. I'm having a night here. So plug this in where I think it goes. So let me point out real quick where I'm doing that. So I'm plugging that. It's the topmost connector right up here. That's the last one. Now I'm going to turn power back on. We've got a big GPU in this bad boy. Now, do you think it's going to post?
I think you're going to be in good shape.
Super chat. Hey, I missed a super chat. Thanks for pulling that one up.
Yep.
Got Jonathan Talks Hardware. I think we're going to dial him in. Jonathan, hit me up on Twitter right now. I'm going to send you a link and we'll get you dialed in here. You can talk about your channel here in a little bit. I appreciate that. Did I miss anything else there?
I think that's it. I went back and checked.
Okay, here we go. If you're down for that, I don't want to invite you if you don't want to get on the show, but he's got his own channel. Oh, look at that HP logo. And this is going to fly. This is a GTX 1070.
That came up quick.
Right?
Yeah. Now people are saying your fans aren't spinning, but you'll be okay. But I bet it's something to do with that rear fan controller too. Some pinout method with that.
I'm guessing it's that SATA connector, but let's see. So we got LED, fan. I wonder if that's fan in.
And it might be like where you wire them all into one and then that one into somewhere else.
You know, little things like that. They get us. Okay. What's weird is I thought those were spinning the first time.
I don't think they were. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
you got cool lights.
Hey, that's half the battle, right?
Your CPU fan is spinning, which is good. So
that's the one that makes all the difference.
That's the one you got to worry about if it's not spinning.
And I kid you not, this back panel has 1,100 connectors.
Looks a little complex.
I am just looking to see where all of these go, because I have all those fan headers for the PWMs, but I literally don't have. Let me see where that goes. That's the power. Oh, you're right. Oh my gosh. You guys are kicking butt tonight.
Keeping you honest, man.
Okay. So I did find the fan controller breakout. And now what I need to do is figure out where this SATA is supposed to go, because there was one more SATA connector for main. One that says main sounds good.
Sounds legit.
That's main, comes up there. I've got like the worst cable management on the back. Okay, so we're going to have how many fans on this thing already? So this is supposed to do a motherboard fan header, which I do have a chassis, I thought, on this thing that was extra, but I don't know. So we'll have to see.
I want to see those OEMs usually come with like one extra somewhere.
And I thought, so this is power into that board. But there's nothing to go power. And I didn't. Oh, there is an adapter here for the different lights. So I've got the RGB adapter, but I don't see one that goes from power supply to fans. I don't see that adapter back here. Again, I'm probably the guy missing it. Trust me. If there's an option to mess up here, it is going to be on me. But I wanted to get these going. I usually build the night before on these, but not in this case.
Seeing it in the raw.
Yep, we were trying it out for the very first time live because that sounded like a good idea at the time, right? I had a nickel for every time. And I can't plug it into the CPU and get us that power that way. Yeah, I think it's actually this one that powers the board here. Drive. I've only got one SATA connector, and let's see. When in doubt, I could always just read the manual. Isn't that the whole RT
It helps.
something.
So you got a
Just
SATA power cable coming off the board? Is that what you said?
there's a SATA coming off of the little RGB controller board. Yes.
Okay. Does it grab power from that board?
So let's take a look. So this one says main. And well, I can take it out and find out if that's lights. So that's for the lights, and there's one for the switch. So yeah, there's only one connector. So I'm guessing it's this one for the fans to spin. Fan power. Yep. Ooh, bad news. Now, did they include an adapter? You know, in my haste, I may have missed an adapter. Check this out. I'll pull it up here for you. So right there, it's showing that the fans go to the motherboard right there. CH fan header, right?
Yeah.
But then it almost looks like it's got a Molex connector to the power supply. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Power supply with adapter, but I don't see that. Either I misplaced it. Let me take a look in the box. Don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Nope, don't see anything there. You guys have been here the whole show. And I don't know if I actually, honestly, I've got some weird stuff up here, but I don't know if I actually have a motherboard to fan header. I've got like Dell fan adapters. So that may be the Achilles heel tonight. Oh, I've got for a different brand. That should work, but I got a USB 2 to 3 breakout. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get fans spinning tonight. Sorry, guys. I'll deal with that later. You can see if I send an update out if I've found the actual adapter. Let me trace one more time these wires from these fans and just see if I'm missing a SATA. Yeah, not bad. Okay, I'm going to go real quick. I want to actually see how fast this thing actually runs now. So I want to see if I can find that keyboard that went with this one. See, this is the problem with building, Danny. Got so much stuff going on. There we go.
I know the feeling, man. Nothing's ever where you last placed it.
I don't know why it took him 6 hours to build the machine. There we go. Okay, so the CPU is going to be exactly the same. This is going to be a really good test because this is a GTX 1070 here. So we're going to see kind of where the bottleneck is. There's the overall build. Like we said, I spent $60 on this machine, and the $60 version that we have here is actually the cheaper CPU that I'm showing you here. The one that's coming to me is actually a 6600, so 100 megahertz or something, right? Not too much faster. We're getting that going. So it's loading a lot of stuff up because it just did a login. Couple things about the SSD. And so this is a 250 gig. We could definitely go with a bigger one of those. Are you staying with 250 for your boot drives, or are you going bigger already?
Generally, what I recommend is get a 512 and call it a day, and don't even worry about doing anything else other than just making it a single drive if you're doing like a boot or if you're doing a budget system. So now if you're strictly trying to want to do like something just to have quick boot and load times, yeah, you could go a little smaller and have like a spinning drive in the background. But 256 is, and the thing is, 256 you can get away with like eSports titles quite easily. Like they don't take up a lot of space. Now you might struggle trying to play something like Warzone, where
Yeah, I had like 3 of them.
needs like 100.
Paul Kazort. Paul Kazort. I'm going to butcher your name. Sorry, Paul. But thanks for the follow on Amazon. Just reminding you guys, if you have not followed already, I'm about to reveal the big giveaway. I'll wheel it in here in a little bit once we get this benchmark. Sorry.
Wheel it.
We'll talk about that. Sorry. So I missed that, Pinky. What you're saying, Danny. What were you saying is your minimum size drive? Now you going 512?
Yeah, usually I try to stick to standard 512 SATA drive, even with SSDs or NVMEs. I mean, I don't think it's actually, I think, pretty difficult to find something smaller in an NVMe form factor than 512, because most of it is like 512 and up. They're out there. You might actually spend more than it's worth, but with a 2.5-inch SSD, yeah, definitely. You can get away with 256 if you're really just after budget and say there's only really one game you want to play at a time, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. It'll work fine too.
That's true. Absolutely true. I'm just pulling a couple products up on the carousel. I can't say enough about this case. Now, may not have been the right case for this motherboard without an extra fan header, but you can get the SATA to fan. And I honestly, I'm probably going to kick myself later. It was probably sitting in there and just fell out of the thing when I was opening it up in my haste. But because it does show in the pictograph that you could plug this in. I know I plugged the one in for the RGB, which is why we have RGB. And then it does look like it has a breakout for the fans and a bunch of stuff here. So what are we looking at? 90 already. Okay. So we got a pretty good boost in performance already on this GPU. Waiting to see when we get into the outside scenes if we're going to be CPU bound. And the last one we were CPU bound, 79, I think it was, something around there in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Or
This
sorry,
one
GPU
definitely
bound
will
in
be
70s.
too. Yeah, you're going to be. This GPU is probably just snoozing, waiting for the CPU to catch up. But
Loading textures and stuff. And I think that that's where it's going to be different is that we put a faster GPU in. So the GPU bound may actually go down to 60, 50 or whatever because of this. But the options are really endless on this HP 800 G2. I'm using the slowest i5 4 core that I've seen, the 6500s in this. Yeah, it's getting started with 100 in there in the forest scene here. But you can get the i7. Definitely look for that.
I definitely say a balanced pairing is what you were showing earlier. Is at 1650. If you just were to leave everything as is, you would have a pretty balanced pairing. 1070 is quite a bit of card to throw at this without a multi-threaded CPU.
Well, and that's another cool thing that you could actually do with this machine. So I'm just showing off the machine we built. Sorry, the fan's not spinning in the back. That's a whole long story we'll talk about later. I can feel the heat off that GPU already rising out of this thing. That's pretty funny. So it's got fans on the GPU and the CPU where it needs it. This is the deep cool case, man. I can't say enough about this. I might actually switch it up for a different build that has an extra fan header here. But I'm going to pull that up on Amazon real quick just so you guys can see what kind of ridiculous deal this is. I don't know how long this is going to last either. Not trying to, again, encourage you guys to hurry on this. But before we reveal the benchmark results, I just want to show you this real fast. $89 for this thing. 4 fans, controller, motherboard interface if you want. And it's PWM, it looks like. So it's going to actually control the fan speed and voltage, all that. Really easy to work in so far. It looks very much like an NZXT. They're kind of taking the NZXT route here. I'm trying to see if our benchmark results will come up here in a second. It's funny when I tab away, sometimes it does that. So, but yeah, pretty cool case. And the power supply works pretty good. Haven't had any issues there. Whoa, we're in the 150s now. Took a while for it to load that next scene, I noticed. I wonder if it's doing higher textures or something because of that faster card. We'll see.
Yeah, that's cranking some frames. A lot of people are worried. Always, I see this a lot too in my comments, my channel, and everybody, and many others in other environments. People are always so worried about, well, that's too much GPU for a CPU. Sure, but I mean, yeah, you would want to have a balance, but I've noticed you can get away with quite a bit. Now, I would say where you would have a pretty bad experience if you were doing something like an i3 with a 1070. But even though that CPU that you got in that machine right now is just 4-core, 4-thread, it still boosts up pretty good and handles the load from that GPU. As we can see, it looks like doing relatively decent. So I would say don't always be super afraid of hammering your CPU real hard and being CPU bound, unless you really do have something that is gonna have some issues. So this is
Yeah, and I think
looking pretty
this is
good.
the area that it gets CPU bound in, right? This is where it's going into that lots of textures close up to a lot of people. Scenes far away, that's pretty easy for it to load. But when you got a lot of people coming in and out of a scene,
Yeah, it was dropping down to the mid to high 50s there. It looked like.
so here we go. What do
What
we
do we
expect?
got?
Tail of the tape. Whoa! Look at the GPU bound, 34%. That's
Yeah,
why. Yeah,
dropped
so
off
it
quite a
was
bit from what was it earlier, like 70 or something?
79. So those are
Yeah,
a much better pairing of a GPU. Now, average frame rate is only 76. So again, we're CPU bound in this. The GPU bound went way down. So that means basically the video card is too fast for the machine. And we dropped a fast video card in it between gaming, but that's what it is. Other esports titles that would be really cool on this one, and I don't even know. I think I have Epic. I downloaded it earlier. I'm looking to see in the chat real quick.
You were running that on high settings too, so that would actually help a GPU or a CPU bound situation when you have a fast card like that. If you were to crank that sucker up to low settings, oh man.
Yeah, when it doesn't have to load as much textures.
Yeah, the GPU would be really sleeping on that CPU.
I'm trying one more title. and that's just because this thing is awesome for speed. I love Rocket League, and it's actually a pretty fun game. My girls play this one quite a bit. We haven't played it recently, but man, talk about something that's not a shoot 'em up game, not a slash and hacker, but looks pretty cool and looks really good at high frame rate. So if you got a fast monitor with this, 165 hertz, a lot of things can hit 165. You can actually see. So the start of it, you'll actually get to play here in just a second, some training stuff. But yeah, it's throwing that around pretty fast.
Oh yeah,
always looks good. Get ready to defend. So it drops you right in the game, and you have to play it this way. Then it's going to have you, click certain buttons. Okay, yeah, jump, and I'm trying to hit it not at the right time, and it's still doing perfect. Like ta-da! But super colorful game. I like this one. This is again Rocket League. It's an older title, but again, we're doing budget builds. You could play this on the 1650 really well. So
absolutely. That's it. I mean, this type of game is what you're after with this type of build. And then your case is just you take pride in your PC and you build it and make it look nicer. So
absolutely. And again, I don't have the LED control here. I'm just changing the LED colors using the button. I don't have the motherboard one, but this actually does have a motherboard interface. So this case can be part of your whole addressable RGB, and it includes an adapter for that. The fans aren't spinning on this one because it turns out I don't have the right connectors, but again, we live and learn here. We're flipping, and flipping is kind of like, again, building a hot rod, right? You're trying different parts. You're gonna add this, card, this drive, this memory, this whatever, trying to get the best thing you can. And the neat thing is, I think this is a cool platform overall. I should just come back up here, but the nice thing is this is a cool platform overall because you can put any type of future motherboard you get, right? You can put any type of 12th gen Intel. You can get a really fast GPU like we have in here, and then you can upgrade the motherboard when you're ready. So it's really just a platform for expansion, which I like. I'm going to check real quick on Twitter and see if our friend wants to join. So Jonathan, if you're still in the chat, I can send you a link here and you might be able to join us. I know we talked about that before. Jonathan has a channel as well. And he's mentioned doing a couple builds here. So let me see. I'm going to send him a quick message. So check your Twitter DMs there, Jonathan. I sent you a link. Hopefully you can join us here. And I'll keep an eye out for him. Let me know if you see him over there as well, Danny. I'm going to go one more game on this one because I know it's late and I know a lot of people have been staying on here. But again, if you're just joining, this is John the Net Guy. I'm joined here by Danny from PC Tech Hustle. And we are testing out. I'm going to have to crash this thing because it doesn't actually let you do it unless you do the full training. Yeah, I'll show you how you exit the game.
To get out now.
It literally traps Alt F4. Like it won't let you Alt F4.
That's wild. I actually haven't really ever played much Rocket League, so I think the most I've seen it played is watching you play it on your benchmarks.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's what we do. So this is one that you've probably played before, Fortnite.
Yeah. Although I'm awful. I like to go. Yeah. I'm glad they came out with a mode where you do the no build mode. It's like, yes, because I can't do the whole crazy keyboard sideways style. These kids, the way they play the games now, like I'm dating myself, but I can build a gaming PC. But not sure sometimes if I can play it like some other folks.
Hey, I got Jonathan popping in. Jonathan, I don't know if you want to be on video. Are you with us there? I see him on video. I'm going to get you in here, and I don't know how we do this 6 ways from Sunday. I'm going to go to that mode, and I'm going to bring Jonathan in. Are you with us, Jonathan? It's got a low connection. I can hear you, barely.
That's good. That's good.
There you are. Yeah, you're on your phone, aren't you?
So, yeah, I'm on my phone because I don't have my second.
Oh, it's a bad connection, man. I mean, you might have to get
So,
closer to your
do you guys want
Wi-Fi.
me to introduce?
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll
I
see
don't
if
have a
your
Wi-Fi. I
connection
use
stays
my.
in. You might have to get closer to a window. For some reason, it's not coming
with
through.
the connection.
Yeah.
Is your cell phone wrapped in foil?
Is it a Faraday cage?
I don't.
Like locked
Well,
up
I use my AT&T service right now.
Oh, okay. We're gonna blame AT&T on that.
You guys want me to introduce?
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about
Right.
Jonathan Talks Hardware, man. While this thing's loading up.
My name is Jonathan H, and I'm from the YouTube channel called Jonathan Talks Hardware, and I have like 500 something subscribers, and I do tech builds, reviews, and those kind of tech stuff. So, yeah. And I do
Yeah, and you've been doing a lot of PC flipping, right?
the other. Second.
I was gonna say it's sadly your audio's cutting out here. Might have to try it again on one of the future streams when I give you more notice. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Jonathan, he's been chatting a few times in the chat here on YouTube. He's got a companion channel as well. I'll make sure that we have links to that. And he's been doing flips and builds for a while now. I watched you do what, about a once a week show or so?
Second.
You do a show about once a week, right?
Yeah, I do videos once a week. Yeah.
So I'm just hopefully you can see this here. I'm actually just testing our new build out in Fortnite, and actually that's really smooth, but you kind of expect that out of a 1070, right?
Yeah, right.
I think I'm on the DirectX 12. And you know, actually I was playing it earlier on the 1650 that was in the carousel, and that's a really good card as well. But I did want to show you guys real quick, you know, just what you can do when you have a larger case. That's part of the whole mystique of building a flip like this, is you can put, you know, you were right actually, Danny. You almost can't tell that's an HP board in there, right?
No, I was just about to say, throw that side panel on.
That's a nice case though, and I found a case on Newegg for $50, which is a I think it's called a Roosevelt Spectra D100, and I built a computer on my stream on my YouTube channel, and I have like an i3 10100F, 16 gigabyte of RAM. I think it's a gigabyte B460 DS3H, GTX 1070, and you know, 250 gigabyte NVMe SSD, which you guys probably don't see in my stream because two of the parts just arrived like the next, not next day, but one was from next day, and the power supply is arriving Monday. So yeah.
Yep. Check that out, man. You can't even tell that's an HP board in there, can you?
Nah, that's got a good amount of tint to it. It looks good.
Yeah, and it's still got the RGB, but you know what's funny is you got that green or amber LED giveaway there for sure. Yeah, this is definitely a different style of case. I like the magnets. I am gonna have no luck putting that back panel on. I can tell you that without doing a lot of cable management. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, I just want to thank you, Jonathan, for showing up today. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I'm going to do one more reveal here, and that is a product that I don't know. You got to see it a little bit earlier, Danny. I don't think it's going to fit on the table here, honestly.
Zoom out. Yeah, especially now you got all that stuff scattered all over your table.
Yeah, it was actually cleaner earlier, and we still could barely get this thing in. It was hitting the studio lights and everything. And this is actually the giveaway item. I'm not going to be streaming next Tuesday. I'm actually going to be in Danny's neck of the woods, so I won't be able to do a live stream next Tuesday as planned. But I'm going to make it up to you because that Saturday we're going to be doing an epic stream. I have 3 of these I'll be working with another YouTuber. If everything works well, it's going to be kind of a surprise. I gotta like figure out how to get all this out of here. I'm gonna grab it. I'll be right back. Here we go. This company, GoTrax.
So when it comes to piece of tech hustle, how I'm talking about, um, I also in Discord servers like the one that I saw from Philippine Central, I think Discord server from another person called TMR. He's a really good person when it comes to 5 years and other Discord servers as well. And when it comes to me selling PCs and Java, I've been a huge fan of Java, and I sort a couple of parts out there too.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, Jonathan, let me introduce this thing one more time. So this is from GoTrax. This is the GoTrax XR. This is a killer in-town commuter replacement. It's an electric bicycle, basically, right? It's an electric scooter, but it's a collapsible one. So it collapses down. You can take this. I think it's like 20 pounds, they say. You can take this on the bus with you. It even has a pedestrian mode where you can like hold it up and just walk it along, and it won't use a ton of battery. But let me pull this up and show you guys the 3 products that I'm going to show next Saturday, the 27th. That's going to be the day that this is coming out. Let me show it up real quick here. And the one that I have here is the GoTrax XR. Now I'm going to have all of these on the show. We're going to have all sorts of cool fun with these. They're not cheap. Let's put it that way. So this giveaway is going to be absolutely huge, but check the stats on this thing. 17-mile range, 15.5 miles an hour. So you can scoot on this thing. What were you saying earlier, Danny, about this?
Oh,
Second?
I'm trying to remember.
I think you were saying you could probably make
replace that with your
this,
commuter,
right?
if you got a close enough commute, and just sell your car.
This is like killer. I want to try the range on it. I think we're going to be hitting some cool Seattle highlights here, but this one again is kind of the middle grade model here. So this is the XR. There is a cool one here as well to go with it that they sent me. Now this one is a 220-pound weight rating. Now I may or may not have been that pre-COVID, but I'm going to go with my pre-COVID weight as I test these. They also sent me this one. This thing's upstairs, and it is an absolute blast. I'm still testing it out. 25-mile range, 20 mile per hour. So again, maybe your commute's a little farther. And it recharges in about 6 hours. It's got a headlight. This one has an anti-theft. The G4 has an anti-theft cable built into it with a coded lock, and it has a digital lock as well. So I think the only thing that they didn't throw in this one is low jack, which would be kind of nice because I wouldn't want to leave this anywhere. But man, they are sending me 3 of these. I've got 2 of them already. The next one shows up that you can see here. And it's just going to be a blast. I'm going to have a blast showing them on the show, talking about Seattle, some of the cool stuff that we're checking out, and what you can do with a cool scooter like this. So have either of you guys ever had one of these kind of scooters?
The only thing I've ever done is
Say again?
rent ones that you can get like around city, and you swipe your card or whatever, and you can rent it for a little bit. So it looks like the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask Jonathan, have you ever ridden one of these before?
No, I have not, because since I'm visually impaired, I was not able to do all those scooters and stuff. And
Yep.
speaking of like riding, I can't ride like bikes without the little wheels in the side, because I don't know how to balance. See, I'm supposed to names. Anyways,
yeah.
I used some kind of wheels in the back, 2 wheels with some kind of storage thing.
You know,
In the back of the bike.
They have a model. They reached out. Another person reached out to me. They have a model with dual rear wheels. So we might have to talk, man. But no, as you mentioned too, like on your stream, you are visually impaired, but man, you make it work. You're still building PCs. You're still doing everything, right? I'm super proud of you. I'm glad to have you on the show here. Again, Jonathan Talks Hardware. I don't have the URLs up here, or I'd put that up there, but I really do appreciate it. And check his channel out. Again, I'll put a little community post on my YouTube that you guys can see as well. So, but I'm glad to have you guys here again. I wanted to tease a little bit this next product. So this is going to be crazy. I'm going to be giving, I don't know which one I'm going to give away yet. That's the things I'm working out. But yeah, this one, yeah, you want the big one? You're like, give me the big one. Because this one again doesn't have the dash, it doesn't have the lock, and it's a little bit slower, but saves a lot of money. So if you don't think you're going to need those features, again, be real careful with kids riding these things because they are, very, very fast. 20 miles an hour. You're going to need all the safety gear as well. So you're going to see me all, hooked up in safety gear. But again, I want to thank GoTrax for even just thinking about sponsoring a show. And they're doing a whole dedicated show. It's going to be 27th August, Saturday in the morning. I don't know exactly when, but if you follow on Amazon, that's another pitch, right? Follow on Amazon. You're going to get notified each and every time I go live. Any last words, Jonathan? I'll let you go first, man.
So again, I was using my phone speaker. That's why I can't hear very well here.
No problem. Any last words for our guests here?
I haven't watched videos about those like scooters, like the electric scooters one. So I don't know much about those stuff.
Yeah, no worries at all. Hey, Danny, any messages for people PC flipping, anything like that?
I'd say the stream was a good example of.
So I do PC flipping on like off camera. I might make a video on PC flip if you guys come over to my channel and comment it in my latest video. I will do a PC flipping videos on it. And also, speaking of YouTube, I have a Discord server.
Oh, man, it's cutting out. It's cutting out. Oh, Jonathan, I think we're gonna have to let you go, man. Your phone is finally cutting out. It's really hard to hear you. But I will work on getting that. Yeah, it's showing over yellow, but we'll work on that. Danny, you want to close us out real quick here?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to say this stream was I'd say a pretty good example if you're looking to do some cheap PC builds, since a lot of things are now marketably okay and prices of things are coming down. It's definitely a good example of if you're looking to do flipping and you want to, make some side cash or turn something that was OEM like what you did into something beautiful, minus the cable stuff that you still have a little bit to work on after stream, but that's all right. That's always the thing I always have to work on after stream too, is the cable management. Just get it working. So,
and I promise, they do look good after I get to them. This is the one follow-up from the last build I did. Once we get all the cables and wiring and stuff, I do have a couple other things coming up. I know it's late in the summer. Your kids going back to school yet, Danny?
Tomorrow they start.
Oh, yeah. That's why you're up late. You're up late with me, and they got to school in the morning. No, I was going to show you. We're actually doing another show. Not when the GoTrax is. It's going to be after that. But we've been working on an outdoor living space.
Looks
so
nice.
Those are the lights that I showed a little while ago. They're controlled by that smart home assistant, and they're dimmable. So I got dimmable LEDs. I don't know if you've seen these before, but like you can get smart switches and stuff, but that's a smart dimmer, outdoor rated. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I may or may not have been watching a show on aircraft computing. It has a fire pit and everything else, but I've got some pretty cool stuff coming. I've got a patio heater that's waterproof, electric heater, and it's waterproof. I have no idea how they did that, but there's lots of cool stuff coming up this summer as well. So I want to thank you, Danny and Jonathan. Hopefully we'll get his signal back, here as we go. But I want to thank all of you guys again for watching, sticking through it with us. I will catch you guys on the other side, and it has been another great show. Catch you all later.
See ya.